Good morning, my dear friend. As the first light stretches across the sky and the stillness of dawn wraps around the earth, something sacred stirs. The world has not yet shouted its demands. The streets remain hushed, and in this quiet hour, this holy moment, before the day truly begins, your heart finds room to breathe. This is not just another morning. This is a divine invitation, an open doorway into grace. I imagine you sitting there now, maybe with a warm cup in your hand, maybe with tired eyes that barely slept, maybe with a heart carrying more than it knows how to hold. Perhaps no one else sees what you carry, but I know this: God sees, and He is already leaning in, because He always meets us in the stillness, long before the noise tries to take over. I think about a woman I once met, a quiet soul who walked through deep waters. She had lost her job unexpectedly. Her savings had disappeared faster than she imagined. Her prayers felt hollow, and her home, once full of laughter, had become too quiet to bear. She showed up at church one early morning, just before sunrise. No makeup, no mask, just a face marked by sleepless nights and unanswered questions. I asked her why she came so early. She whispered, "Because I did not want to cry in front of anyone, but I could not hold it alone anymore." That morning, she did not find solutions, but she found presence. Not mine, God's. In the stillness, in the honesty, something sacred broke open. Her voice trembled as she spoke, but her soul began to rise, because she realized she did not need to be strong to come to Him. She just needed to be real, and so do you. You may not be in the same place, but I know life brings its own kind of weight, a silent fear, a nagging guilt, a question that never seems to get answered. Maybe it is not about losing a job, but losing hope. Maybe it is not about broken finances, but a broken heart. Whatever it is, I want you to know something deeply true. You are not alone in it, and you are not powerless in it. This morning is not about perfect words or polished faith. It is about surrender. It is about beginning again, not with noise, not with pressure, but with presence. It is about sitting quietly in the gentle light of a new day and saying, "God, I am here." That one sentence opens everything. You see, there is a kind of strength that does not look like force. It looks like faith. There is a kind of courage that does not roar, it simply stands, even with shaking knees. And there is a kind of victory that does not come from winning battles, but from laying down our need to fight them alone. That is the power of prayer. It is not magic. It is not performance. It is a conversation. It is surrender. It is opening your hands where you once held too tightly. It is whispering truth even when you still feel afraid. It is believing that grace meets you not because you deserve it, but because you need it. So as you sit here in the soft hush of morning, I want to invite you gently but boldly to let go, to listen differently, to speak honestly, to pray not with perfection, but with presence. This is your time. This is your sacred space, not to impress God, but to encounter Him, to hand over the burdens, the fears, the questions, to stop running and start resting. Breathe. Settle. Close your eyes if you need to. Let the worries of the day wait outside. You are about to step into something holy. A conversation with the one who has waited patiently through every night for this very moment with you. Let us begin. Dear Heavenly Father, this morning I come to you with no rehearsed words, no polished strength, no perfect offering. Just me, just this tired, aching heart that has tried for too long to carry what was never mine to hold. I wake up and feel it again, that weight, the invisible kind, the kind that wraps around my chest before my feet even touch the floor. It whispers lies before the light even reaches my window. It tells me I have to be everything for everyone, that I have to fix it, that I have to prove something. And the more I listen, the more I shrink. The more I try to carry it, the heavier it gets. But this morning, Lord, I am done pretending I have it all together. I am done performing for people, done pushing through like I do not feel the cracks inside. I am here, and I am breaking in places I do not want anyone to see. But you see, and that is why I come. I come not as the strong one, but as the one who finally admits weakness. I come not with answers, but with questions I have buried beneath busy schedules and tired smiles. I come not with a map, but with empty hands and worn-out shoes. I come not to impress you, but to collapse into you. I cannot carry this weight anymore. Lord, not the fear, not the pressure, not the regret or the shame or the heaviness that keeps me up at night and steals the peace from my mornings. I cannot carry the expectations, the failures, the constant wondering if I am enough. Because, truthfully, on my own, I am not, but you are. You have always been. Even when I tried to do it all without you, you never left. Even when I silenced your voice and chased after things that drained me, you remained. I see it now. The times you waited while I ran in circles. The moments you whispered when I was too busy to listen. The quiet nudges when I reached for everything but you. And still, you are here. Still, you are reaching for me. Still, you are calling me back to the one place where I do not have to carry it all. So here I am, not hiding anymore, not holding back. I lay it all down before you, the disappointments, the deadlines, the fears I do not know how to name. I lay down the pain that lingers in silence, the grief that keeps resurfacing when no one is looking, the comparison that steals my joy, the guilt that tells me I should be further along. I place it all at your feet. Every burden, every secret weight, every wound that still bleeds in the quiet. Take it, Lord. I am not strong enough to carry this alone. I was never meant to be. I need your presence more than I need answers. I need your comfort more than I need solutions. I need you, not just on the hard days, but here, now, in this sacred quiet before the world starts spinning again. I do not want to begin another day pretending I am fine when I am not. I do not want to walk into another morning holding my breath and waiting for the weight to lift. I want to give it to you, really give it to you, and trust that you will not hand it back. You know the cracks in me. the ones I try to cover with strength and smiles. You know the exhaustion behind my eyes, the ache behind my laughter, the story behind my silence. And yet you love me still. You are not repelled by my heaviness. You are not frustrated by my weakness. You are drawn to it. You are drawn to the places where I cannot pretend, where I cannot perform, where I simply fall apart, because you are not asking for perfection. You are asking for surrender. So I surrender, not because I am noble, but because I am tired. Not because I have it figured out, but because I finally know that I do not. Not because I am holy, but because I am broken. I surrender because you are strong where I am weak. I surrender because I have nothing left to prove and everything to receive. I surrender because I believe that what I release into your hands no longer has the power to destroy me. I surrender because I want to know what it means to live light, to live free, to live held. This morning, I make a choice, not a loud one, not a grand one, but a quiet, trembling choice. I choose to let go, just this moment, just this breath. I choose to stop carrying the weight of what I cannot control. I choose to stop trying to earn what you have already given. I choose to believe that I am not alone in this, that even if the storm rages and the road stays hard, I do not have to walk it carrying more than grace has asked me to bear. I choose to believe that you will meet me here, in the letting go. You said your burden is light. I have known many things, but not that, so teach me. Teach me how to walk lighter, how to trust deeper, how to stop running from rest. Let this be the morning I finally believe that I do not have to carry what was never mine. Let this be the beginning of a different kind of strength, the kind that starts with surrender. And if I forget later today, remind me again. If I try to pick up what I laid down, gently place your hand over mine and whisper, let it go. If I start to shrink under the weight again, lift my head and tell me, I am with you still. I am not asking you to take away every burden. I am just asking you to carry them with me, to walk with me, to speak to me in the quiet when the noise gets loud again. This morning, I do not come with a long list. I come with one sentence whispered through wary lips and hopeful heart. I cannot carry this anymore, but I believe you can, God. If you are listening and something in me still believes, you are then hear me now, not with polished words, but with the trembling sound of a soul crying out from somewhere deep. I am still here in this place where I let go, still in the silence after surrender, but the quiet is louder now. And though I handed you the weight, I realize I have never really told you what it did me. I never really spoke of the of the nights I held back tears because I was too tired to explain them. I never spoke of the way I smiled just enough to keep people from asking questions. So now, Lord, I will speak. Not because I have found strength, but because I cannot hold it in anymore. This is the cry of someone who has come to the end, what they can fix. This is the sound of someone standing in the middle of a storm and finally choosing not to pretend it is just rain. I feel the fear. I feel the questions. I feel the pain I have numbed for too long, and I am tired of trying to silence it with business or distraction. I am tired of carrying grief like it is some private punishment. Tired of acting like disappointment has not touched me. It has, and it still does, but I bring it here now, not in bitterness, not in blame, just in broken honesty. Because the truth is, I am scared, not of you. I have never feared you. I have feared being forgotten. I have feared being passed over. I have feared that the silence meant you had turned away. And though I know you never leave, some nights it has felt like I was praying into nothing. Some mornings I whispered your name and heard only the sound of my own breathing. But even that whisper carried something sacred. Even in my doubt, I wanted you. Even in the H, I believed you could still come close. And that has to mean something. So this is my cry, not for comfort alone, but for presence. I do not need you to solve it all today. I just need to know you are with me in it. I do not need to feel better yet. I just need to know I am not walking through this valley unseen. I do not want a fast fix. I want a faithful hand to hold me while I face what I can no longer avoid. Lord, I do not want to numb this pain. I want to feel it and know that you can still be near. I want to believe that tears do not disqualify me from your presence. That weakness does not make me less welcome. I remember reading about how you are near to the brokenhearted, not above them, not beyond them, near. So I ask you to draw close now. In this raw place where I cannot filter what I feel, come near not when I am strong again. But here, in the middle of this unraveling, come into this room. This morning, this body that feels heavy from holding it all together. Let my cry rise like incense, even if it shakes. Let it reach you. Let it matter. I am not ashamed to admit I need you, not just for rescue, but for refuge. Not just for healing, but for understanding. I need the God who weeps with me, the God who stood at a tomb and cried even knowing resurrection was coming. I need the one who is not embarrassed by my H, who does not rush me through sorrow, who does not rebuke my humanity. I need the God who speaks not through thunder, but through whispers that reach even the places I have tried to bury. Lord, I do not want to cry for the sake of emotion. I want this cry to open something in me. I want it to be real. I want it to matter. I want to bring you everything I hid behind half-truths. The anxiety I called business. The sadness I called fatigue. The loneliness I laughed through. The guilt I tried to pray away without ever naming it. Here it is. I will not dress it up. I will not hide it behind scripture. I will not pretend that quoting truth is the same as living it. I will just give you the real me, the scared me, the tired me, the angry me, the waiting me. I do not cry today because I have lost faith. I cry because I believe you care. I cry because somewhere inside me, I still believe you see every tear that falls, even the ones I wipe away before anyone notices. I believe you bottle them, that they do not disappear into nothing, and I believe that when I weep, I am not alone, because you weep too. Let these tears water the ground I have been too afraid to touch. Let this cry be the breaking of the shell I built around my soul to survive. Let this be the moment where honesty becomes worship, where vulnerability becomes my offering, where sorrow becomes the soil for something sacred to grow. I do not want to waste this pain by hiding it. I want to bring it into the light and let you transform it. If this is what surrender sounds like, raw and trembling and unfiltered, then let it be so. If this is what healing begins, with an honest cry in the dark, then I am not ashamed. Because this is real, this is me. And I believe you meet us most deeply in what is real. I believe you do not require composure, only truth. You do not ask for performance, only presence. So I bring you mine, every piece of it. I will not rush past this moment. I will not hurry into hope without first sitting in the H, because I know you are here too. And if you are here, then even sorrow is holy ground. Even brokenness becomes sacred space. So I will cry if I need to. I will feel what I have been avoiding. I will open the floodgates of a heart that has held too much for too long, because I know you are not overwhelmed by what overwhelms me. You are not afraid of what I feel. You are not disappointed that I am not okay. You are not waiting for me to clean myself up before I approach you. You are already near, already listening, already leaning in with compassion in your eyes and peace in your hands. And in this sacred morning silence, you are holding every part of me I thought was too messy to show. So I let it rise. The H. The questions. The tears. The longing. The fear. I let it rise like smoke from an altar, like breath from lungs that have not exhaled in days. I let it rise because you are the God who receives even broken prayers. You are the God who turns groans into language and sighs into songs. You are the God who knows exactly what I mean, even when I cannot form the words. I may not know how to move forward yet, but I know how to cry. And this morning, that is enough, Lord. Even now, while my voice still carries the weight of yesterday's cry, I feel something different rising quietly from underneath. It is not loud. It does not rush in like a flood. It is subtle, steady, like the first warmth of sunlight pressing through morning fog. It is the memory of who you are, a holy remembering, not just in my mind, but deep in the folds of my spirit. It does not erase the pain. It does not explain away the struggle, but it speaks, softly but clearly, like a familiar voice in the dark saying, I was there, and I am here still. You have never stopped being you, not when I forgot, not when I doubted, not when I broke down beneath the pressure of life and whispered prayers that barely made it past my lips. You were still the same, still faithful, still kind, still listening, still sovereign even when my world felt small and unstable. You were still the God who walked with me when I was too numb to notice, still the one who covered me with mercy I did not earn. Still the shepherd who searched when I wandered too far to find my way back alone. I remember now. I remember the night I thought I would not make it through, and somehow I woke up to see another dawn. I remember the time I had nothing left to offer, and yet you surrounded me with provision I did not expect. I remember the moment I sat in silence, unsure of how to pray, and you met me there not with rebuke but with rest. I remember the door that shut and how it felt like a loss, but later became protection. I remember the no that turned out to be mercy, the waiting that turned into wisdom, the detour that led to healing I did not know I needed. You have been better to me than I have known how to ask for. You have shown up when I thought you would not. You have spoken when I thought you were silent. You have held me in moments I thought would destroy me. And even now, when I struggle to trust what I cannot see, I cannot deny what you have already done. My story holds too many fingerprints of grace to pretend I was ever alone. So I anchor myself here not in how I feel, but in what I remember, not in today's uncertainty, but in the history we share. You have proven yourself faithful, not just in someone else's life, but in mine. And I will not let sorrow steal what time has taught me. I will not let this moment blind me to the mosaic of mercy you have painted across my years. I will not forget the miracles wrapped in ordinary days, the prayers answered in whispers, the comfort that came through unexpected kindness. You are not a stranger to my life. You are not a distant God who drops blessings like coins and disappears. You are the God who stays, the one who walked with me through fire and brought me out without the smell of smoke, the one who carried me through waters I thought would swallow me whole, the one who sat beside me in hospital rooms and lonely nights and quiet breakdowns no one ever knew about. You were there, even when I was not sure you were, and if you were then, you are now. I know pain tries to cloud memory. I know fear tries to distort what was once clear. But even beneath the H, I still find the trace of your goodness, like sunlight catching dust in the air, like a melody returning after long silence, like a gentle nudge reminding me, this is not the end. You have been faithful, and you will be again. You are not bound by what overwhelms me. You are not limited by my understanding. You are not intimidated by my questions. You have seen every chapter and loved me through them all. So I lean into what I know of you. Not theory, not hearsay, but the history written in tears and laughter and days I thought I would never survive. I lean into the way you never rushed my healing. I lean into the way you answered when I did not deserve to be heard. I lean into the ways you protected me from things I begged you to give. And in this moment, that remembering becomes worship. It becomes strength. It becomes a quiet kind of confidence, not in me, but in you. I do not need to see every step ahead when I can see clearly who has walked behind me. I do not need to feel certainty when I can feel your nearness. I do not need to know how this ends when I know you are still writing the story, and the same God who held me then will hold me now. The same God who carried me through last year's storm can carry me through this one too. The same voice that calmed me before will calm me again. You are not new to this. You are not new to me. You have always been the steady one, the sure one, the safe place when everything else felt like shifting ground. You have never failed me, even when I misunderstood your ways. You have never forgotten me, even when I questioned if you had. And now, instead of rehearsing fear, I will rehearse faith. Instead of counting losses, I will count faithfulness. Instead of telling you how big the problem is, I will remind my soul how big you have always been. This remembering does not erase the need to cry, but it softens the edge of despair. It does not eliminate the questions, but it gives me courage to hold them in open hands. It does not solve everything, but it steadies me, because when I remember who you are, I remember who I am in you, not just broken, but beloved, not just hurting, but held, not just uncertain, but seen. So I return to this altar, not one built of stone, but of memory. I lay down the burdens again, not because they vanished, but because I remember how you carried them before. I choose to believe you will do it again. I choose to believe you still delight in showing mercy. I choose to believe that you still whisper peace into chaos and breathe life into what feels lost. This morning, let memory be the soil where hope can rise again. Let the past speak louder than the fear. Let the record of your goodness silence the lie that says you have changed. You do not change. And because of that, I can change. I can rise. I can breathe again. I can face the day not only with a cry, but with a quiet confidence born from all the days you never let go. And even now, as the tears dry and the room grows lighter, I feel it settling in me. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of perspective. I see clearer because I remember deeper. And in this remembering, my heart begins to steady, not with answers, but with the truth of you. Father, now that I have remembered who you are, something in me begins to shift. It is subtle, like the first breeze after a long, still heat. I am no longer gripping quite so tightly. My fingers, once clenched around what I thought I had to protect, begin to relax. There is still pain, still questions, still ache in the bones of my heart, but there is also something else. A willingness, a quiet, fragile yes that rises from somewhere deep inside. I feel it like a whisper that dares to become a prayer. I want to let go, not out of defeat, but out of desire, not because I am giving up, but because I am beginning to believe there is something sacred in release, something holy in surrender that I could never find in control. Letting go was once a threat to my sense of safety, but now it feels like the doorway to something better, something lighter, freer, more alive than I have known. I can feel you inviting me, not forcing me, just standing there with open hands, asking if I am ready to place what I have held for too long into yours. So I come with all the pieces, not just the heavy ones, but the fragile ones too. The hopes I have held so carefully, afraid they would break if I trusted them to anyone else. The dreams I tucked away, fearing the disappointment of losing them. The old wounds that I pressed down so deep I forgot how much they shaped me. The need to know what is next. The pressure to be enough. The fear of being forgotten. I bring them all, not to drop them recklessly, but to hand them over in reverence. Letting go, Father, is not easy. It feels like peeling away layers I thought were part of me. It feels like stepping out without knowing where my foot will land. But I am learning that faith is not a leap into darkness, it is a step into your light. I do not need to see everything. I just need to trust that you see me, and you do. You have never taken what I was not ready to release. You wait. You listen. You love me through the slow process of opening my hands. So here I am, not in a rush, not trying to perform, just breathing, just learning how to hand you one thing at a time. Today, I place my need to control the future into your hands. Tomorrow, I might need to do it again, and the day after that. But today, I let it go. I will not hold so tightly to what is not mine to direct. Trust that you are better at holding the unknown than I am at planning around it. There is beauty here. I did not expect that. I thought letting go would feel like loss, like emptiness. But instead, it feels like space. Space for peace. Space for breath. Space for new things to grow where fear once rooted itself. I feel the beginning of something I cannot yet name. Something that stirs not in the mind, but in the soul. It is not loud, not dramatic, just steady and soft. It feels like trust. It feels like rest. It feels like you. I am starting to see that the things I clung to were not always meant to be carried forever. Some were only meant to teach me, to stretch me, to lead me back to you. And some were never mine at all. I just picked them up out of fear, out of pride, out of the belief that I had to hold everything together. But I do not. I never did. You have always been the one who holds me, and you never needed my control to fulfill your promises. So I will not carry what belongs to you. I will not grip what is too heavy for human hands. I will not chain myself to outcomes or timelines or expectations that wear down the soul. Instead, I release. I release my reputation. I release the desire to be understood. I release the anxiety of what might happen. I release the narrative that says I have to earn love, prove worth, or always get it right. I am yours, and that is enough. Let this letting go be my offering today, not just in words, but in action, in thought, in silence. Teach me how to live surrendered, not just in prayer, but in posture, in how I listen, in how I wait, in how I speak to myself when fear tries to creep back in. Let surrender be the way I walk, the way I love, the way I breathe through the uncertainty, not with clenched fists, but with open palms and a lifted gaze. There is beauty here. I feel it in the quiet between the thoughts. I sense it in the rhythm of breath slowing down. Letting go has made room for wonder again, for the possibility that today could hold something unexpected, not just challenges, but goodness I did not plan, grace I did not schedule, peace I did not manufacture. This is what it means to trust you with more than just pain. It is trusting you with joy too. Because if I believe you are good, then I must also believe you are not just calling me to lay things down, but also preparing something better in their place. Maybe not what I imagined, maybe not when I imagined it, but better, deeper, richer with meaning and purpose. Something I would have missed had I kept my hands closed and my heart guarded. So I open now, not just in letting go, but in letting in the mystery, letting in the new. Let this be the kind of surrender that turns into freedom, the kind that breathes deeper than fear, the kind that looks like dancing again after long stillness, the kind that says I do not have to understand to trust. the kind that roots itself in who you are, not in how things appear, because I do not want to live tight and tense, bracing for the next thing to fall apart. I want to live open, soft, steady, whole. You are not asking me to be fearless. You are asking me to be honest, to bring what I cannot manage and place it in your care, to stop pretending I am not affected, to stop pretending I am not tired, to stop pretending I do not need you every moment. You are not ashamed of my limits. You are the God who meets me inside them. So I give you what I have been holding, and as I do, I ask for courage to keep doing it tomorrow, and the next day, and the one after that, because this is not just a moment. This is a way of living. This is the beauty of letting go, not a one-time act, but a daily invitation to live light, to live loved, to live free. Let me wake up each morning and do it again, not because I failed yesterday, but because you meet me here every time. And that, more than anything else, is what keeps me letting go. Father, yesterday I let go, and today I realized just how tightly I had been holding on. The ache in my chest was not only from burdens, it came from the grip I refused to loosen. Somewhere along the way, control stopped feeling like a choice and started feeling like survival. I told myself that if I could just manage every detail, prevent every mistake, predict every outcome, maybe I could protect myself from the pain. Maybe I could keep disappointment at a distance. But I see now, all that gripping built walls, and behind those walls, I was not safe. I was trapped. It is strange how something that promises comfort can become a cage, how the desire to hold everything together ends up tearing me apart. I thought control would give me peace, but it only gave me pressure. I thought it would bring security, but it made me afraid of every change, every unknown. I thought it would prove my strength, but it only exposed my need for you. And now, Lord, I want to see it clearly. I want to name it for what it is. Not strength. Not leadership. Not wisdom. Just fear dressed up like responsibility. Just pride disguised as caution. Confess that I have tried to sit on your throne. I have stepped into roles you never asked me to fill. I have taken ownership over things that were never mine. I have called it diligence, but it was control. I have called it planning, but it was panic. I have called it protection, but it was perfectionism wearing a gentle voice. And I am tired, Lord, not because life is always heavy, but because I made it heavier than it needed to be. I tried to hold what only you are strong enough to carry. So I sit here in this quiet morning, asking you to show me what I have wrapped in control. Show me the places where I built fences instead of altars. Show me the parts of my life where I have confused control with stewardship. Teach me the difference. Teach me what it means to be responsible without being ruled by fear. Teach me how to care deeply without losing peace. I want to be faithful without trying to be sovereign. I want to be a servant, not a master. You never called me to be the architect of my own destiny. You never asked me to know every answer, predict every turn, or hold everyone else's world together. That was never my role. I put myself there, and now I step back, not out of apathy, but out of reverence, out of trust, out of a desire to be free again. Because I know now that control is not the same as safety. In fact, it has often kept me from feeling safe with you. God, I want to walk with open hands, not just in prayer, but in every part of my day. I want to loosen my grip on outcomes. Relationships, opportunities, even my own image. I want to stop managing how I am perceived, stop monitoring every conversation in my head, stop fixing everything that looks out of place. I want to stop trying to orchestrate a life you already designed. Because the truth is, I can add peace to my soul by trying to control my surroundings. I only find peace when I surrender them to you. There is no joy in this prison, no rest in this constant reaching. And today, I want joy. I want rest. I want to live like someone who trusts you more than their own ability. I want to wake up and know that I do not have to be in charge to be safe. I want to walk through the day without carrying the false weight of everyone's expectations. I want to stop believing the lie that says, if I do not hold it together, everything will fall apart, because you hold all things, and nothing has ever fallen outside of your hands. Break the illusion, Lord. Break the lie that tells me I am the only one who can fix it. Heal the parts of me that learn to survive by controlling. Heal the younger version of me who thought they had to be perfect to be loved. Heal the present version of me who still struggles to let go without guilt. Rebuild me from the inside out, not as someone afraid of surrender, but as someone who finds joy in it. Someone who sees letting go not as a threat, but as a doorway to intimacy with you. I want to live differently, not ruled by what I can manage, but led by what you speak, not driven by fear, but drawn by grace, not always calculating, but sometimes just breathing. I want to know what it is like to walk freely through a day, unburdened by the need to manipulate every detail. I want to experience the beauty of following you without second-guessing every step. I want to hear your voice louder than the pressure of my own expectations. And I know it won't all change in one morning, but it can start here, in this sacred stillness. It can begin, one layer at a time, one release at a time, one act of trust. Even when I do not feel ready, I can let go, not of care, but of control, not of wisdom, but of worry, not of passion, but of pressure. You gave me a heart to serve, not to strive. You gave me a mind to plan, but not to panic. You gave me hands to build, not to grip in fear. So here I am again, opening them again and again. If needed, I do not want to return to the prison just because freedom feels unfamiliar. I do not want to cling to control just because surrender feels risky. You are worth the risk. You are worth the unknown. And if freedom means walking into mystery with you, I choose it. If peace means loosening my grip, then I release it all again. This is the kind of life I long for, one that breathes instead of bracing, one that trusts instead of managing, one that follows instead of forcing, one that loves without calculating. Thank you for not condemning me in my fear. Thank you for not shaming me for trying to protect myself. Thank you for standing at the door of my prison, waiting for me to see that the lock was never held by you. You have always been the God of open spaces, the God of wide skies and endless grace. And you are not calling me to manage my world. You are calling me to rest in yours. So I take a deep breath. I unclench my fists. I confess the control I have held onto. And I ask for the strength to keep releasing it. I ask for the courage to trust that letting go does not mean losing. It means living. Living as someone free. Someone who walks through today knowing they are held, not by plans, not by fear, but by you, Lord. Letting go of control has left me both lighter and exposed. There is freedom in release, yes, but also a strange kind of quiet I was not prepared for. I no longer carry the pressure to orchestrate every detail, but now I find myself asking, what happens next? If I am not shaping my future, who is? If I am not defining my path, how will I know where to go? And yet even as the questions form, so does a deeper truth, one I feel more than here, soft and steady, beneath every anxious thought. You are the potter, and I am the clay. I am not abandoned. I am not forgotten. I am not spinning without direction. I am in your hands. And though I cannot always see what you are forming, I can trust that you are forming something. Something more whole than I could imagine. Something truer than I would choose for myself. Something not rushed, not careless, but intentional, precise, and full of love. Because you are not just any sculptor. You are the one who breathes life into dust. And that breath still shapes me today. So I surrender not only the things I carry, but the shape of who I am becoming. I stop trying to mold myself into what I think the world wants, or what I think will finally make me feel worthy. I stop trying to perform for approval, to perfect myself into acceptance, to manufacture identity based on noise instead of truth. I was never meant to sculpt my own soul. That was always yours to do. And your hands do not rush. Your hands do not destroy. Your hands are gentle, even when they press deeply. Shape me, Lord, in the way only you can. Not in the image of someone else's success, not in the mold of my own fears, but according to your design. Even if it means undoing some things I have built for years. Even if it means breaking down what was never meant to last. Even if it means I sit in uncertainty for a while longer. I choose your hands over mine. I choose formation over fabrication. I choose becoming over pretending. Sometimes, I feel the spinning of the wheel beneath me, seasons shifting. Circumstances turning, people coming and going. It disorients me. I want the movement to stop, but then I remember, it is on the wheel that the clay is shaped. It is in the spinning that the potter begins to form the vessel. So I stay here. I lean in. I let the motion move me closer to you, rather than make me run away. Because being in motion with you is safer than being still without you. And even when I feel your hands press into places I would rather keep hidden, I choose to trust. You do not expose to shame. You reveal to redeem. You do not press to hurt. You press to reshape. And even when you cut away excess or smooth down what is rough, you are doing it with tenderness. You are not frustrated with me. You are not impatient with the process. You knew how long it would take, and you said yes anyway. So I will not fear the process of being made new. I will not fear the seasons that stretch me, or the silence that slows me. I will not fear the waiting rooms of transformation, because you are not in a hurry. You are not surprised by the time it takes. You are not measuring my progress against anyone else. You are simply working. Carefully, faithfully, until I reflect something more beautiful than what I could build alone. And it humbles me, God, that you, the creator of stars and oceans, choose to work so patiently with someone like me. That you, who spoke galaxies into motion, take the time to shape one fragile heart. That you, who could snap your fingers and be done, instead choose the long, intimate, holy work of shaping me day by day, breath by breath, layer by layer. I do not always feel worthy of your attention, but you have never based your love on my performance. You have never required perfection to begin shaping something meaningful. You only ask for surrender, for trust, for willingness. So today, I bring you my unformed places, the parts of me that feel unfinished, the dreams still blurry, the fears still loud, the pieces that do not yet fit together. And I say, here I am. Shape me. I do not want to resist you. I do not want to stiffen at your touch or flinch at your direction. I want to be soft in your hands, malleable, open, willing to be reshaped again and again. I want to be the kind of clay that trusts the hands of the potter more than it fears the fire of the kiln. I want to be the kind of soul that chooses transformation over comfort, truth over ease, surrender over pride. Even if I cannot see the full picture yet, I choose to believe you are creating something with intention, not a replica, not a copy, something uniquely mine, a vessel fit for purpose, a story marked by grace, a life that holds what you want to pour into it. I do not need to compare my process to another. I do not need to envy someone else's formation, because you are not mass-producing souls. You are shaping each one with sacred detail, including mine. So I will not despise the discomfort. I will not curse the tension. I will not run from the stretching. I will remember that beauty takes time, that depth comes from pressure, that glory is hidden in surrender. And I will trust that nothing in your hands is wasted, not the years I thought were broken, not the setbacks I feared would define me, not the pain that I never chose. You use it all. Every crack, every scar, every layer of dust. You use it not to discard, but to design. And when I forget, when I feel the urge to take control again, to define myself again, to run ahead of the process, I ask you to gently remind me that I am not abandoned clay, that I am not without form or future, that even in the quiet, even in the unknown, your hands have not left me. You are still shaping, still smoothing, still pressing, still loving me into something that can hold light, hold purpose, hold your presence. So here I am, on the wheel, on the altar, in the process. not rushing, not resisting, just resting in the truth that I am being shaped by the hands that made the heavens. And that is more than enough for today. God, if you are still shaping me, then here I am. Still trying to remain soft in your hands. Still learning to stay when everything in me wants to move. Still becoming, even when I do not feel the transformation. There is something quiet happening within me, something deeper than change. It is surrender, not the dramatic kind that happens in storms, but the still kind that happens in gardens. The kind where the soul leans forward, low to the ground, and whispers a trembling yes. I think of the garden you entered when the weight of the cross was still only a shadow, when the silence of night held the tension between heaven and earth. And there, kneeling in the quiet, you spoke the words that shape all surrender. Not my will, but yours be done. That prayer was not loud. It was not public. It was not surrounded by miracles or multitudes. But it moved eternity. And it moves me now, because I know how it feels to kneel in a place like that, caught between what I want and what you are asking. I have felt that same ache, the ache of knowing what I hope for and sensing what you may ask instead, the ache of watching doors close while still holding the key, the ache of choosing obedience over outcome, of laying down plans that felt like they carried my future, of saying yes to what I do not fully understand. And I confess, Father, it is not easy. It is not easy to give up my will when it feels tied to my identity. It is not easy to trust when the cost is unknown. It is not easy to say yes when every part of me wants to ask why. But if you could surrender in that garden, knowing the cost would be everything, then surely I can surrender here, where the cost is only my comfort. Surely I can say yes in this quiet morning, if you said yes in the dark of night. Surely I can let go of my own will, not because it feels good, but because it leads me closer to you. Because that is what I want most, not a perfect outcome, not a plan without pain, but nearness to you, a life shaped by obedience. Even when I do not understand, you do not demand my surrender. You invite it. You do not force my will to yield. You wait until I am willing. And here I am, Lord, not eager, but willing, not fearless, but available, not because I trust the path ahead, but because I trust the one who walks it with me. I may not know where this surrender leads, but I know who it leads me to, and that is enough. Still, help me. Help me when I hesitate, when I stall between yes and no, when I second guess what I have already placed in your hands. Help me when my prayers grow quiet, not from peace, but from pride. Help me when I try to barter obedience, when I try to hold on to parts of my will while pretending I have let go. Help me be honest not just with my words, but with my choices, not just with my surrender, but with my follow-through. I want to be the kind of person who does not just say yes in prayer, but lives yes in action, who does not just speak of surrender, but walks it when no one else sees. I want to be faithful in the garden, not just on the mountaintop. I want to obey in silence, not just when the crowd is watching, Because true surrender is not just about laying things down in a moment, it is about continuing to lay them down when I want to take them back. So here is my will, Father, not perfect, but willing. Mold it like you mold everything else. Smooth the parts that resist. Break the parts that need reshaping. Make it look more like yours. Let my desires be aligned with what is good. Let my dreams be rooted in what brings you joy. Let my choices reflect more than what feels easy. Let them reflect what brings you honor. I do not want to live torn between two loves, my will and yours. I want to be whole. I want to be steady. I want to walk in one direction. I do not want to chase what I think I need and miss what you are offering. I do not want to build a life that impresses people but distances me from you. I want to build a life that reflects you, even if it means starting over. Even if it means surrendering again tomorrow. Even if it means releasing dreams I once thought were from you, only to discover you have something deeper. This garden space is quiet, but it is holy. It does not hold applause or affirmation, but it holds something greater: intimacy. I feel you here. Not demanding. Not disappointed. But close. So close. You do not despise my struggle. You are not ashamed of my hesitation. You see me in process, and you stay. You stay when I wrestle. You stay when I flinch. You stay when I pause, and still you ask, not with pressure, but with patience, will you trust me here? And so I answer, not in strength, but in surrender. Yes, not because I see the whole picture, but because I believe you do. Yes, not because I have confidence in my ability, but because I have confidence in your heart. Yes, not because I want to sacrifice something to prove devotion, but because I want to be formed by love. I want to be shaped by obedience, even when it costs something real, even when it means letting go of timelines, titles, and expectations I have grown attached to. Father, let this yes be the seed of something new. Let this yielded place become fertile ground for joy I did not expect, for peace I could not produce, for growth I could never manufacture on my own. Let this garden be the place where I stop striving and start trusting, where I stop performing and start becoming, where I stop resisting and start receiving. And if the path ahead is still hidden, if the answer is still wait, if the direction is still unclear, let my yes remain. Let it stay rooted even when I feel unsure. Let it echo through every part of my life, not as noise, but as clarity, a steady whisper, not my will, but yours. That is the prayer that changed everything, and it is the prayer I offer now, not once, but again and again, until surrender becomes my language, not just in the garden, but in the living, not just when it is quiet, but when the noise returns, not just when I am afraid, but even when I am strong, because you are worthy of my yes every single time. Lord, after the surrender, after the whispered yes that echoed through the garden of my heart, I expected something immediate, some sign, some shift, some answer wrapped in clarity. But instead, what greeted me was silence. Not cold, not empty, but deep, still, holy. And it is here, in this unhurried quiet, that I find myself holding my breath, wondering if you are near, wondering if you have already moved while I was still listening. But then I feel it not sound, not words, but presence, gentle, undeniable. You are here. This silence is not absence. It is intention. It is the space you create between surrender and transformation. It is the pause that lets the soil rest after it has been broken. It is the stillness that allows what you planted in me to begin growing roots. Hidden from the surface but alive in the deep. I used to fear silence. I used to fill it with noise just to avoid the H of waiting. But now I see it differently. I see it as an invitation not to do, but to be, not to speak, but to receive. You are not rushed. And if you are not rushed, I do not have to be either. I do not have to rush to the next revelation or grasp for the next assignment. I can sit here in the hush of this moment and trust that even in the quiet, you are at work, even when there are no fireworks, no sudden changes, no thundering direction. You are doing something sacred. Silence is not inactivity, it is intimacy. It is where I learn to lean in and not just hear your voice, but feel your heartbeat. So I quiet my soul. I let the noise inside me settle. The fear that I am falling behind. The pressure to prove I am still faithful. The temptation to explain why I am still waiting. I lay it all down and breathe. Not because I have figured everything out, but because I have stopped trying to hold it all together with answers. Sometimes the greatest act of trust is to remain still when everything in me wants to move. I used to think that prayer meant constant speaking, always filling the space with my words. But I am learning that silence can be a prayer too, that you hear my surrender in the exhale, that you meet me in the pause, that you speak clearest when I stop trying to control the conversation. So I sit with you now not as a servant begging for instruction, but as a child sitting beside their father, simply content to be near. Let this be enough. This nearness, this breath, this awareness of you that needs no explanation. I do not need to see the finish line today. I do not need to decode every detail of the journey. I only need to remain, to stay long enough in the silence to be changed by it, to resist the urge to escape it, to trust that something eternal is happening in the stillness that cannot be rushed by urgency. And if I listen closely, I begin to notice the things I used to miss. The way the light touches the wall, the rhythm of my breath finally slowing, the space between thoughts where peace starts to speak. I notice that I do not need to strive for your presence. I am already in it. You were here before I arrived. You will still be here when my words run out. And perhaps that is the gift of this silence, to remind me that your love does not depend on my performance. Let this moment mark me, not because of anything I did, but because I stopped doing long enough to notice you. Let this sacred hush be the turning point where I stop equating noise with meaning, where I stop demanding signs and start trusting seeds. The seeds you have sown through each surrendered prayer. The ones I can yet see, but know are hidden and alive beneath the surface. Growing. Becoming something beautiful, even in the dark. Father, Teach me to embrace silence, not as punishment, but as preparation, not as rejection, but as refinement. Teach me to stop measuring your nearness by the volume of your voice. Teach me to know you even when you whisper nothing at all. Because the deepest kind of knowing does not come from hearing it. It comes from being with, from choosing to stay, from resting in the truth that love does not need constant affirmation to remain real. Help me remember that even when you seem quiet, you are not distant. You are working in ways I cannot see, preparing things I cannot imagine, healing things I did not know were broken, softening soil I thought was already ready. And you are doing it all with patience, with precision, with a tenderness that waits for the right season to reveal what you have been growing in the dark. So I force fruit out of season. I dig up the seeds you asked me to plant in trust. I rush what you are carefully shaping in silence. I will wait here, not passively, but purposefully. I will let stillness teach me to depend on more than feeling. I will let quietness form deeper faith. I will believe that this silence is not an empty room, but a sacred sanctuary where I am seen, known, and being made new without the need for noise. And if I start to panic in the pause, if I start to question your love just because I can feel it, remind me gently. Whisper it in the stillness, not in thunder, but in peace, not in pressure, but in presence. Let the very air around me speak of your constancy. Let the silence become sacred ground, where I stop searching for signs and start standing in surrender. Lord, I know the world will get loud again. I know distractions will come. I know fear will try to pull me back into old habits of hustle and self-reliance. But for now, I am here, with you, in the quiet, in the in-between, in the not yet, and that is enough. Let this silence remind me who I am without all the noise, beloved, held, steady in your hands. Let it remind me who you are without needing to speak a word, faithful, near, endlessly kind. Let it be a sacred space where nothing needs to be said, because everything has already been given. And here, in this holy pause, I will remain a little longer, listening, trusting, becoming. Father, out of the stillness, something is shifting. It is not loud, not dramatic, but I can feel it. Like the weight I have carried for so long has started to lift, not all at once, but in layers. Like something tight inside of me has started to loosen. In the sacred silence where I met you without striving, something in me broke open quietly, and what is breaking is not my spirit, it is the chains. The chains I did not even know I was wearing. The ones that had settled so deep into my soul. They felt like part of me, fear disguised as wisdom, shame dressed up as humility, guilt that pretended to be responsibility, expectations I never agreed to but carried anyway. They have clung to me like old stories I could not stop reading, whispering lies in the voice of truth. But now, in your presence, they are losing their grip. Not because I fought them off, but because I stopped holding on. Not because I finally figured out how to fix myself, but because I stopped trying to be my own rescuer. You did not demand I break free before you came close. You drew near first, and the nearness itself is what started shaking the foundation of every lie I believed. You did not hand me keys and ask me to earn my way out. You simply came in, and when you entered, the locks began to fall away. You are not the God who waits for perfection. You are the one who breaks chains gently, patiently, powerfully. You did not shout me into freedom. You loved me into it. And now, I find myself standing taller, not because I have become stronger, but because the weights are lighter. I am not dragging old fears behind me the way I used to. I am not rehearsing past mistakes as often. I am not bound by the voices that once told me I was too much or not enough. You are teaching me what it means to live unbound. Not careless, not unwise, but free. Free to move without fear of failing. Free to speak without needing to be perfect. Free to rest without guilt. Free to love without fear of rejection. This kind of freedom is not loud or flashy. It is slow, steady, sacred. It shows up in small ways in how I breathe, how I walk into rooms, how I look in the mirror and do not flinch. This freedom is not something I achieved. It is something I have received. It is what happens when your presence becomes more real than the weight of my past. It is what happens when I stop trying to manage my healing and simply let you touch the places that still ache. It is what happens when I stop building defenses and start building altars. And in this space, Lord, I am building something new, not with bricks of self-protection, but with stones of remembrance. Because I remember now the chains that once defined me, and I see how far you have brought me. I remember when I believed I was always going to be anxious, always going to carry shame, always going to live under pressure. But here I am, breathing easier, not perfect, but present, not whole in every way, but walking in freedom I never thought I would taste. And the only explanation is you. You are the God who breaks what I thought was unbreakable. You are the one who walks into rooms I thought were sealed shut and opens windows. You are the one who does not just open prison doors, but walks me outside and stays close until I remember how to run again. And I am running not from pain, not from truth, but toward something new, toward joy, toward peace, toward life with you that is lighter than I have ever known. Let this be my testimony that chains fell in the quiet, that freedom came not in a battle, but in surrender, that I did not earn liberty by shouting louder, but by kneeling lower, that the very act of letting go gave you space to move in ways I could not imagine. Let this be what I carry into today, not shame, not fear, not the old identity I once wore like a coat too heavy for my shoulders, but freedom. Freedom to forgive myself. Freedom to forgive others. Freedom to stop needing every outcome to validate my worth. Freedom to speak kindly to the parts of me that are still healing. Freedom to make room for joy without questioning whether I deserve it. I have spent enough years living bound by silent rules I never agreed to. I have spent enough time editing myself for the sake of approval. I am done with that, because you have called me free. You did not just loosen the chains, you removed them. And what you remove, I do not have to pick up again. What you have set me free from, I do not have to revisit like a monument to my old self. I can move forward without checking the ground behind me. I can lift my head. I can smile without the weight pressing down. I can speak without filtering my voice through fear. Because when you declare freedom, it is not partial, it is whole, it is complete. And if I start to forget, if old patterns try to slip back in like shadows, I ask you to remind me gently. Remind me that I am not who I was, that shame has no hold, that fear has no right to dictate my pace, that my worth is not up for debate, that chains only hold power when I agree to wear them. But I no longer agree. I no longer align with the lies that kept me small. I align with grace now, with truth, with you. Thank you for being the God who never gave up on my freedom, even when I called my chains normal, even when I got used to the weight, even when I stopped praying for release and just tried to adjust. You never stopped working. You never stopped speaking. And now, in the light of morning, I finally see it, chains on the floor. Not because I broke them, but because you came close. Let today be marked by this freedom. Let how I move, how I speak, how I breathe carry the evidence that something has changed. Let the way I love others reflect the love that set me free. Let the way I walk into the day carry the quiet confidence of someone who no longer carries what you already removed. And let every step echo the truth I now know in my bones. The chains are falling, the weight is lifting, and I am free. Lord, there is a quietness that follows freedom, like a breath I had not taken in years. I sit in this stillness now, not as someone waiting to be set free, but as someone who has begun to taste what life feels like without invisible chains. And in this clarity, something in me is waking up, not just my thoughts, but my heart. It is not the jolt of fear that used to startle me awake in the morning. It is not the racing list of worries or the weight of expectations. It is something gentler, something deeper, a steady stirring that tells me I was made for more than just surviving. I was made for this moment of awareness, of presence, of truth. You are here, and I am here, and nothing is being asked of me but to notice. God, help me not to rush past this moment. Help me not to fill the silence with my own voice or clutter the stillness with my plans. Teach me to live awake, not just alert to danger or productivity, but awake to beauty, to your movement, to your whisper. Let my heart not be dulled by repetition or routine. Let it not grow numb from carrying yesterday's pain. Let it stay soft and tender, able to feel again, able to rejoice again, able to cry without shame and love without fear. Because now that I know what it feels like to live unburdened, I do not want to go back. I do not want to become so used to chaos that I mistake it for passion. I do not want to crave noise because I am afraid of what the quiet might reveal. I do not want to numb my soul with distraction or fill my life with things that keep me from feeling. I want to feel again even the ache, even the longing, because a heart that feels is a heart that lives. You have awakened something sacred in me. It is not loud. It does not demand attention. It is not performance. It is presence. And in this presence, I find the permission to slow down, to look around, to notice the morning light through the window, to hear the birds without needing to analyze their song, to drink my coffee not as fuel for the rush, but as a quiet ritual of returning to the now. I do not want to miss what is in front of me because I am trapped in what is behind or obsessed with what is ahead. I do not want to live in memories that haunt me or possibilities that scare me. I want to be here, right here, where my feet are, where your spirit is, where grace is sufficient and mercy is new. Let my eyes be opened, not just to what is visible, but to what is eternal. Let me see beyond the surface of people's words and actions, into the fragile places that ache to be understood. Let me see myself not through the lens of insecurity or comparison, but through the quiet gaze of compassion. Let me see you in the details, in the interruptions, in the waiting. This awakening does not mean every wound is healed or every fear is gone. It just means I am not sleepwalking anymore. I am not numbing out or shutting down. I am choosing to stay present even when it hurts, because I trust that you are here in the middle of it all. And if you are here, then even the pain has a place. Even the silence has meaning. Even the unanswered questions are held by something greater than my understanding. Lord, when the world tries to put me back to sleep, when it tells me to hustle, to prove, to earn, remind me of this stillness. When my worth feels like it is measured by my output, call me back to this quiet center. When I am tempted to escape into distraction, bring me home to myself again, to this space where I do not have to be anything other than fully present. Let today be lived from this place. Let my interactions be born out of awareness, not autopilot. Let my words carry warmth because I spoke them awake. Let my eyes shine because they see. Let my hands serve not out of obligation, but because love overflows. Let my work be a gift, not a performance. Let my rest be full, not guilty. And when I forget, because I will forget when I slip back into old patterns, when I start running again without knowing why, gently bring me back, not with shame, but with grace. Whisper to me again that I am allowed to slow down, that I am safe in your presence, that I do not have to carry what you already offered to hold. This awakening is not a one-time event. It is a practice, a rhythm, a choice I make moment by moment, to come back, to stay open, to remain soft in a world that tries to make me hard, to notice the hollowness in ordinary things, to believe that presence is power, that awareness is a doorway to healing, that stillness is not emptiness, it is full of you. So here I am again, fully here, with a heart that is learning to beat to a new rhythm, with lungs that are breathing deeper, with a mind that is quieter than it used to be, with a soul that is no longer asleep to what matters. I do not need to chase anything today. I just need to stay awake, awake to the kindness of strangers, awake to the beauty of imperfection, awake to the stories people carry, awake to the tension between sorrow and joy, awake to the miracle of this exact moment that will never come again. Let me carry this awakening with me not as pressure, but as peace, not as something I must protect, but as something I can rest in. Let it shape the way I move through my day, the way I look at others, the way I forgive, the way I give thanks. Let my life reflect what is happening inside, that something has come alive, that something sacred has opened its eyes. And may every step I take from this point on be guided not by fear, not by habit, not by urgency, but by presence. Let this be the song beneath all my doing. I am awake, I am aware, I am alive in you, God. Now that I am awake, I begin to see how tightly I have held onto things that were never mine to carry. Control has wrapped itself around my thoughts like a safety net, convincing me that if I just try hard enough, plan well enough, or anticipate every possibility, I can protect myself from pain, from disappointment, from chaos. But I am learning, even now, that this illusion is fragile, that control is not peace, that my grip on things is not the same as your hand guiding them. And still, it is hard to let go. Even now, with open eyes and a stirred heart, I catch myself clenching again, trying to take back what I already gave you. I try to manage outcomes. I overthink conversations. I script futures that have not happened. I brace for things I fear instead of trusting that you are already ahead of me. But Father, I am tired. Not tired from lack of sleep, but from the exhaustion of playing God in my own life. I was never meant to carry the weight of every detail, every outcome, every heartache. So here I am again, in this quiet moment, opening my hands, not because I am strong enough, but because I am wary enough to stop pretending I have be. Help me to release what was never mine to control. Help me to stop managing my image, curating my story, or perfecting my plans. I do not want to live like a puppet pulling my own strings. I want to live like a child who trusts the one who knows the way. It is scary sometimes, God. Surrender feels like falling. Letting go feels like losing. Trust feels like a risk. But what if the real danger is not falling, it is never jumping? What if holding tight is what is slowly suffocating the parts of me that were meant to soar? I think I am starting to understand that surrender is not the end of freedom. It is the beginning. So, in this moment, I release the expectations I placed on myself today. I let go of the script I wrote for how things should unfold. I hand you the conversations I want to control, the people I can fix, the timelines I keep trying to speed up. I give you the fear that if I do not do everything just right, everything will fall apart. And I trust that if it does fall apart, maybe it is because something better is being built in its place. Father, remind me that peace does not come from knowing what is next. It comes from knowing that you are with me in whatever comes. Remind me that trust is not about clarity, it is about relationship. That faith does not mean I feel afraid, it means I let fear become my master. It means I will come back to you every time I feel the old pull to control. And I will say again, I do not have to know, because I know you. I want to live today with open hands. I want to walk through the hours not with anxiety, but with anticipation. Not clinging, but releasing. not resisting, flowing with the current of your grace. And when I meet resistance, when people or plans do not go the way I hoped, let that be a cue not to tighten up, but to lean in deeper, to trust more, to breathe instead of react. Letting go does not mean I stop caring. It means I stop trying to be in charge of what only you can do. It means I pray instead of plot. It means I respond instead of control. It means I pause long enough to remember that the world does not rest on my shoulders. It never did. It was always yours, God. I think of the things I have held on to longest, the fears I do not even say out loud, the people I can stop worrying about, the stories I have told myself so many times they feel like truth. Will you help me untangle them, one thread at a time? Gently, kindly, patiently. I do not need to force it. I do not need to rush. You are not asking for perfection. You are inviting me into freedom. Freedom that comes not from figuring it all out, but from placing it all in your hands. And when I forget again, and I know when I start clinging or overthinking or stressing again, do not let me fall into shame. Let me fall into grace, into the reminder that you are not disappointed in my weakness. You are delighted by my return. Every time I come back, you are here. Always here. So I release control, not once for all time, but again in this moment. And I will keep releasing, because letting go is not a one-time act. It is a rhythm, a posture, a prayer that does not always have words, but is lived through open hands, open hearts, open trust. I give you my plans, God, not because they are bad, but because they are limited. You see farther. You love deeper. You know better. I give you my questions, not demanding answers, but inviting comfort. I give you my relationships, asking that you do what I can. I give you my day, trusting that in the hands of a good Father, even the most ordinary hours become sacred. Let today be a dance of surrender, not a march of pressure. Let it be led by grace, not striving. Let every interruption be a reminder that I am not in charge, and that is a gift, not a punishment. Let every disappointment become a doorway into deeper dependence, not despair. Let my default not be to fix, but to trust. As I move through this day, I will feel the pull again to reach for control, to grasp for certainty, to script the outcome. But when that urge comes, let it trigger a deeper breath, a sacred pause, a quiet surrender. Let me whisper, even silently, you are God, I am not, and that is enough. This is not passive living, it is active trust. It is choosing not to carry what you already offered to hold. It is choosing to love instead of manipulate, to speak truth instead of manage impressions, to show up fully without orchestrating every outcome. I do not know what this day will bring, but I know I do not want to miss it, because I was too busy trying to control it. I want to be present for the beauty I did not expect, the grace I did not earn, the lessons I did not plan, the people I did not predict. I want to see you in the unfolding, not just in the things that go according to plan. So here I am, hands open again, ready to receive. to release, to rest in your strength. You are my safety, my peace, my portion. You are the one who holds all things together. I do not have to. I never did. Lord, even as I try to let go and walk lighter through this day, I find myself confronted by something deeper, not just the impulse to control, but the voice underneath it, the voice within me, the one that whispers when I make a mistake, the one that tightens when I fall short, the one that tells me I am not enough, that I should be further along, stronger, more impressive, less broken. That voice, Lord, it does not sound like you, but it has lived in me for so long. I have mistaken it for truth. You are gentle, but the voice I hear inside is harsh. You are patient, but this voice is relentless. You lead with kindness, but this inner critic leads with shame. And so today, I bring this voice into the light, and I ask you to help me untangle where it came from, why I still listen, and how to finally let it go, because I cannot walk in the fullness of your freedom while dragging around this old script that no longer fits the story you are writing in me. God, I think of how easily I absorb the weight of judgment. Sometimes it starts so subtly, a memory, a tone, a comparison, and before I know it, I am repeating words that never came from you. I say things to myself I would never say to someone I love. I measure myself by a standard you never set. I expect perfection, then punish myself for not reaching it. I confuse performance with worth. I turn every flaw into proof that I am not lovable, not usable, not worthy. But you never spoke to me like that. You never looked at my humanity with disgust. You never asked me to become flawless before you would draw near. No. You met people in their mess. Not once they cleaned it up. You lifted those bowed down with shame. You restored the ones others had written off. You reminded the weary that they were seen, loved, and chosen. So why is it so hard for me to receive that same grace? Heal the voice inside, Lord, the one that tries to earn what was always meant to be received, the one that mistrusts good things, assuming they will be taken away, the one that interprets silence as rejection or failure as final. I do not want to live at war with myself anymore. I want my thoughts to reflect the truth of you, are not the lies I have believed out of fear. Help me replace the old voices with yours, the voice that says I am beloved, even when I stumble, the voice that calls me by my name, not my mistakes, the voice that does not rush me to heal, but walks with me in every fragile step, the voice that celebrates progress, no matter how small, the voice that believes in the story unfolding in me, even when I doubt the next page. Sometimes I think the deepest healing is not in fixing what others broke, but in transforming the way I speak to myself when they are no longer speaking. It is choosing not to become my own bully just because others once were. It is deciding not to repeat their judgments like a haunting echo. It is learning to believe that gentleness is not weakness and self-compassion is not pride. It is letting you teach me how to be kind to the person I wake up as each day. So today, I want to start again. I want to treat myself like someone you love, not like a project to fix. I want to let go of the version of me that tried to be invincible. I want to let my heart be soft again, not guarded by perfectionism or driven by fear, but rooted in the quiet courage of knowing I am yours, no matter what, no matter when, no matter how far I feel I still have to go. And when I forget again, 'cause I will when I start speaking to myself in that old voice, may your spirit interrupt me with a whisper of truth. May you place a pause in my reaction, a softness in my correction, a breath of grace in the middle of my spiral, not to excuse what is unhealthy, but to remind me that transformation is not fueled by shame, it is sustained by love. You are not interested in my polished image. You are not after robotic obedience. You want my heart raw, real, vulnerable. You want to meet me where I actually am, not where I pretend to be. So I won't hide anymore. I won't dress my wounds in silence. I won't mask my struggle in performance. I will bring the whole of me to you, even the parts that feel too tender to name. And in doing so, I trust you will speak into them, not with condemnation, but with clarity, not with punishment, but with presence, not with lectures, but with light. And in your light, every lie begins to lose power. Every false label starts to peel off. Every wound that once defined me becomes a doorway to deeper intimacy. I want my inner voice to sound more like you. I want to think thoughts rooted in peace, not fear. I want to respond to myself with curiosity, not accusation. I want to greet my missteps with a hand that helps me up, not one that points fingers. And I know this takes time. I know it takes practice. But even now, I feel it beginning. The soft rewriting of the narrative, the slow unlearning of old scripts, the gentle whisper of a better way. Thank you for never treating me like a failure. Even when I fall, you call me forward. Even when I am discouraged, you draw close. Even when I am convinced I have messed everything up, you remind me that nothing is too broken for redemption. You are not ashamed of me. You are not distant. You are here. And you speak life where I have only spoken judgment. You speak restoration where I have rehearsed rejection. So let today be a new chapter. Let it be one where the tone inside begins to shift. Let it be a day marked not by perfection, but by grace. Let it be filled with quiet victories every time I respond with love instead of self-contempt. Every time I notice the spiral and choose to step out of it. Every time I replace accusation with affirmation. Every time I remember who I truly am, not just in theory, but in practice. You say I am loved. I choose to believe you. You say I am forgiven. I choose to accept it. You say I am not alone. I choose to feel you near. And as I move through this day, may the echo in my mind carry the same tone of gentleness that I hear in your heart, not to flatter myself, but to walk in the freedom that comes when love becomes the loudest voice. The world around me may not echo that grace. Some voices may still wound, but if the voice inside is healed, then no other voice can break me the same way again. And that, Lord, is the kind of healing I need most, not just around me but within me. Father, now that I have begun to hear your voice more clearly within me, I realize how much my thoughts have shaped the atmosphere of my days. The way I speak to myself, the beliefs I quietly hold, The assumptions I let take root, all of these silently steer my reactions and decisions. And now, I long for my mind to not only be quieted from shame, but to be firmly anchored in peace, not fleeting peace that vanishes at the first sign of chaos, but deep and steady peace that holds me even when nothing around me feels calm. The world is loud. My own thoughts are often louder. There are so many things competing for my attention, demanding answers, predicting disaster, and pushing me into urgency. And yet, you never rush me. You never raise your voice to be heard. You speak in stillness, and that stillness becomes my strength when I choose to abide in it. I want to dwell in that space, not just during these moments of prayer, but as the background melody of my entire day. Lord, I have seen how quickly peace can vanish when I start focusing on things I cannot control. A stray comment, a missed deadline, a shift in someone else's tone. These things should not have the power to unravel me. But too often they do, and that tells me something deeper is happening beneath the surface. Somewhere in me, I have let anxiety become normal. I have let worry feel like responsibility. I have let overthinking masquerade as preparation. But now, I want something better. I want a mind that trusts before it calculates. I want thoughts that reflect hope more than fear. I bring my anxious thoughts to you now, not to hide them or suppress them, but to lay them down in your presence, where they lose their power. I do not want to live preoccupied with what might go wrong. I do not want to waste hours playing out every possible outcome, trying to shield myself from pain that has not even happened. That is not wisdom. That is torment. That is not foresight. That is fear. And you have not called me to fear. You have called me to live with a sound mind, a heart at rest, and a soul anchored in truth. Help me identify the thoughts that need replacing, the ones that keep me spinning in circles, rehearsing worst-case scenarios, or attaching my worth to outcomes. Help me recognize the subtle lies that sound like caution, but are really distrust. The ones that whisper that I am alone, that you won, show up, or that I must figure everything out by myself. Help me silence the spiral, not by force, but by filling it with something better, your promises, your presence, your peace that surpasses understanding. I need that kind of peace, Father, the kind that does not shift with the circumstances, the kind that does not depend on other people's reactions, the kind that is not based on having all the answers. I want the kind of peace that holds me steady in traffic, in meetings, in conversations, in long stretches of silence, the kind that anchors me when I am waiting for a breakthrough, and the kind that softens me when nothing is going as planned. I want to be so rooted in your peace that chaos no longer finds easy access into my spirit. Teach me how to renew my mind throughout the day, not just in the morning. Let this prayer not be the only moment I pause to check what I am thinking. Give me the awareness to catch the shift when I start slipping into anxiety. Give me the courage to stop, breathe, and redirect my focus back to you. Let the patterns of panic break each time I choose to return to your truth, even if I must do it 10 times in a single hour. You are not annoyed by my need for repetition. You are present each time I return. Let peace not be something I chase, but something I carry. Let it become the air I breathe, the foundation under my feet, the lens through which I see people and situations. Let it become my natural state, not because life is easy, but because I have learned to surrender what was never mine to control. I will not waste another day trying to predict the future to protect myself. I will trust the one who holds it. I will rest in your character even when I do not understand your timing, God. When I feel the temptation to fix everything, remind me that I was never meant to carry that burden. When I feel the tension rise in my shoulders and the tightness settle in my chest, help me pause and return to you. When I catch myself rushing, rehearsing, or reacting, let your spirit interrupt me with a gentle reminder that I am safe in your hands, that I am not behind, that I am not alone, that I am not expected to have it all together, just to be held by the one who does. Even now, I release the outcomes I have been clinging to. I let go of needing to be understood, needing to be right, needing to be in control. I open my hands and breathe. You are here. That is enough. I do not need to know everything that will happen today to be grounded in peace. I only need to stay close to you. And when I do, I begin to see things differently. The pressure fades. The racing thoughts slow. The fear begins to lose its grip, and something softer takes its place. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of perspective. It is remembering that I am not defined by this moment, that I am not at the mercy of my emotions, that even in confusion, I can stand firm, because peace does not come from avoiding hard things. It comes from knowing I will not face them alone. Let peace guide my responses, shape my decisions, and mark my presence. Let it be felt by those around me, not because I preach it, but because I live it. Let my calm spirit disarm tension. Let my grounded words create safety. Let my stillness in chaos be a quiet testimony to a world desperately searching for something unshakable. I do not want to be known for how fast I move or how much I carry. I want to be known for how deeply I trust. I want my life to be evidence that peace is not only possible, it is sustainable, not through performance, but through abiding, not through perfection, but through presence. Not because I am strong, but because you are, and I have chosen to stay near you. This is the kind of mind I desire, one that is not easily swayed by criticism or controlled by uncertainty, one that finds clarity not in the absence of noise, but in the middle of it, because I have trained my thoughts to return again and again to the one who does not change. You are my constant, my calm, my clarity, and in that certainty, I find a peace that cannot be taken, only deepened. So as I move into this day, may peace not only fill me, it may lead me. May it soften every step, saturate every word, and shape every thought. May it become the default setting of my inner world, because where you are, peace abides. And you, Father, are always near. Father, if peace begins where control ends, then I now understand why letting go is not just an invitation, it is a necessity. As I walked through yesterday learning how to breathe deeper and rest in you, I started to notice the countless places where I still hold on too tightly, not in obvious ways, but in the quiet grip of expectations, timelines, outcomes, and unspoken fears. And now I come to you with a new prayer. Give me the courage to let go not once, but continually as an act of trust, not defeat. I used to think letting go meant failure, that if I surrendered a situation, a dream, or a relationship, I was giving up. But now I see it differently. Letting go is not giving up, it is giving over. It is returning the weight to the one whose hands were always meant to carry it. It is not passivity. It is profound partnership with you. And perhaps the real courage is not found in holding on, but in releasing what was never mine to control. Lord, I see now how many things I have tried to manage in my own strength, the silent ways I have tried to engineer outcomes, protect my reputation, fix others, or hurry what only time and your hand can unfold. I confess the ways I have tried to play savior in my own story, and in the stories of those I love. I acknowledge the pressure I put on myself to always have the right words, the perfect plan, the secure answer. But I am not you, and the longer I pretend I can be, the more peace I lose in the process. I want to live open-handed, not just with material things, but with my sense of control, with the way things should look, with the need for clarity before obedience. I want to trust you even when the map is blank. I want to walk forward even when I cannot yet see the shore. Help me release the idea that safety comes from certainty. Remind me that true security is not found in predictable outcomes, but in unwavering presence, and you are always with me. Let me let go of the past, too, of regrets that try to rewrite my identity, of mistakes that echo longer than they should, of what was lost, what did not go as planned, what should have turned out differently. I cannot move freely into today while dragging the weight of yesterday. Set me free from the illusions that keep me tethered to pain I have already outgrown. Let me remember that I am not defined by what I did or what was done to me, but by what you say about me now. And when it comes to the future, I release that as well. The temptation to script it, the tendency to worry over what might happen, the habit of rehearsing possibilities as if that will protect me from pain. I give you my longing for things to go a certain way. I hand you my fears of being misunderstood, overlooked, or left behind. You are not late. You are not indifferent. You are not silent. Even when I cannot trace your hand, I will trust your heart, God. I do not want to miss the beauty of now, because I am gripping what has passed or obsessing over what is next. I want to live with unclenched hands, a quiet spirit, and a heart that says yes to you even when it does not know what that yes will lead to. Because when I look back on my story, I see that it was never the moments I planned that changed me most. It was the interruptions, the delays, the closed doors, the unexpected turns, and all along, you were guiding me not where I wanted to go, but where I needed to be. So I let go of the need to understand everything. I release the demand to always feel certain before I move. I choose trust over tension, release over resistance, surrender over striving. And when the fear creeps in, because I know it will, I shame myself for it. I will just come back to you again. I will whisper a quiet yes in the middle of my doubts. I will open my hands once more. Let this be the rhythm of my life, a steady surrender, a sacred letting go. Show me what I am still clinging to. Maybe it is not something material, but a belief, a story I have been telling myself, a label I have accepted, an expectation I have set, a version of the future I am convinced must happen. Expose the roots so you can gently unearth them. Teach me to grieve what I must release, but not to be defined by its absence. Teach me to trust that whatever I let go of, you can redeem or replace. Letting go does not mean losing value, it means realigning with truth. I am not what I hold. I am not the outcomes I achieve. I am not the image I project. I am yours, and you are not withholding from me. You are not distant, harsh, or cruel. You are the God who sees me, who knows what I need before I ask, who loves me enough to both give and take away. And in both the giving and the taking, your goodness remains unchanged. Remind me that letting go does not mean life gets easier. It means I become lighter. It means I carry less that was never mine to begin with. It means I stop managing everything like it is mine to fix. And in that release, I make room for joy again, for curiosity, for surprise, for peace that is not built on having it all together, but on knowing you are already in the middle of it all, working even when I can't see it, redeeming even what feels wasted, restoring what I thought was lost for good. Lord, let me wake each day with the courage to hold loosely what I love, not because I fear losing it, but because I trust you with it more than I trust myself. Let me give room for you to move. Let me not grip so tightly that I block what you are trying to do. Let me be brave enough to say, "This no longer serves me," and walk away. Let me be humble enough to admit when I have been wrong and bold enough to step into the unknown anyway. And when I start to tighten my fists again, when I feel that old fear rise up, when I try to control, fix, predict, or prove, remind me of this moment. Remind me of the freedom that lives on the other side of surrender. Remind me that my worth is not attached to outcomes, that love is not earned through performance, that rest is not a luxury, but a rhythm I was designed for, that trust is not weakness, but the highest expression of strength. Let my life be marked by the things I have had the courage to release. Let the fruit of my faith be seen in the peace I carry, the joy I choose, and the freedom with which I walk. Let me let go so I can grow. Let me release so I can receive. Let me open my hands so I can finally be held. And as I move into today, I do so not clinging to certainty, but resting in connection, not gripped by fear, but grounded in grace, not striving to control, but choosing to trust. Because you, Father, are not only capable, you are good. And if I have you, I have everything I need. Lord, if yesterday was the courage to let go, then today begins with the hunger to be renewed. Because in the release, there is a beautiful emptiness, a sacred space where something new can be born. I feel it now, that quiet opening inside, that invitation to be shaped not by fear or habit, but by your truth. I no longer want to be conformed to the patterns of this world, where noise drowns out wisdom and speed replaces depth. I want to be transformed by the renewing of my mind, thought by thought, moment by moment, until even my inner dialogues carry your voice more than my own. You know the thoughts that swirl inside me, the subtle doubts that masquerade as caution, the judgments that come dressed as discernment, the anxieties that parade as responsibility. These thoughts are not neutral, they carve grooves in the soul, and the more I travel those paths, the more automatic they become. But I want new patterns now. I want your word to become the map my thoughts follow. I want to pause and examine what I have long accepted. I want to unlearn the lies I never realized I believed and replace them with truth so deeply planted it becomes instinct. God, I ask you to make my mind a sanctuary, not a battlefield. Fill it with light. Fill it with quiet strength. Let it be a place where peace resides. Not panic. Let it reflect heaven more than headlines. I do not want to entertain thoughts that undermine what you have spoken. I do not want to rehearse worst-case scenarios and call it preparation. I want to become fluent in truth, fluent in grace, fluent in faith. Not just when things are calm, but especially when they are not. Remind me that I can choose my focus, that my thoughts are not dictators, but travelers I can redirect. I do not have to follow every fear that knocks. I do not have to bow to every critical voice, especially the ones that echo from within. I can take every thought captive and bring it under the authority of Christ. I can notice when my thoughts spiral into shame or suspicion, and instead of feeding them, I can invite you into the middle of them. I can ask, is this true? Is this kind? Is this necessary? And if not, I can let it go. Father, there are scripts I have repeated to myself for years, and I am only now realizing how damaging they have been. I am not enough. I always mess things up. If I do not do it perfectly, I should not do it at all. They probably think less of me. I have to earn rest. These scripts are not sacred. They are not my identity. They are not yours. Today I give you permission to overwrite them, even if it feels disorienting at first. Let your truth become louder than my insecurity, clearer than my fear, steadier than my performance. Help me recognize when comparison creeps in disguised as inspiration. Help me see how it steals my joy and corrodes my confidence. Let me celebrate others without questioning my own value. Let me be deeply rooted so I am not swayed by trends or tossed by opinions. Guard me from information overload that numbs more than it nurtures. Let me be wise with what I allow into my mental ecosystem, because not everything that is available is edifying. I want my inputs to match my intentions. Lord, give me discernment when I scroll, when I read, when I listen. Show me what to turn off, what to tune out, what to turn toward. Train me to seek wisdom more than entertainment, depth more than distraction, truth more than noise. I do not want a mind that is constantly stimulated but never satisfied. I want stillness that heals. I want focus that bears fruit. I want silence that is not empty, but full of your presence. Even when I make mistakes in thought, when I assume the worst, when I imagine rejection before it happens, when I believe my worth depends on productivity, gently redirect me. Don't let me spiral into shame. Let conviction lift me, not crush me. Let every detour become a redirection toward deeper trust. I do not need to fear my thoughts. I just need to surrender them, to see them as signals, not definitions, to hold them up to your light and let you sort what is real from what is reaction. And when I am tired, when my mind feels scattered and my heart overwhelmed, remind me that renewal does not require effort as much as it requires proximity. To be near you is to be transformed, just like the dawn slowly pushes out the night. Your presence pushes out what is not of you. So I will not rush this process. I will sit with you in the stillness, not needing to fix or force anything, simply letting your truth breathe over me. Teach me to think higher, not just harder, to meditate on what is noble, pure, excellent, and praiseworthy, to chew slowly on your promises instead of devouring empty headlines. Let Scripture not be a checklist, but a lifeline. Let your Spirit be my interpreter when I feel lost in the maze of my own reasoning. Anchor me in what is eternal when everything around me feels urgent. I want my mind to be a place where grace lives, not perfectionism, where curiosity thrives, not cynicism, where hope rises, not defeat. Let my thoughts give birth to compassion instead of criticism, to courage instead of control, to perspective instead of panic. And when I forget, when I revert to old patterns, draw me back not with guilt, but with the gentle reminder that I was made for more than mental survival. I was made for transformation. Father, shape my thinking so my living can be renewed. Let what happens inside me ripple outward. Let the clarity of my mind create kindness in my tone. Let the peace you place in my thoughts overflow into my relationships. Let the healing that begins in my beliefs become visible in my decisions. I do not want to just think differently. I want to love differently, serve differently, speak differently, because I see the world through eyes shaped by truth. And on days when the transformation feels slow, when I wonder if I am really changing, all let me rest in your faithfulness. You are not in a rush. You are not measuring me against anyone else. You are not disappointed by my stumbles. You are delighted by my desire to return again and again to the place where you renew all things. Let this be my posture today, not rigid, but receptive, not striving for control, but seeking alignment, not demanding certainty, but choosing presence. I trust that every surrendered thought is a seed, and in your time, it will grow into something beautiful, something free, something holy. Lord, if the renewing of my mind begins with surrender, then the healing of my emotions must begin with honesty. I come to you not just with thoughts that need realignment, but with feelings I often do not know how to carry. The undercurrents beneath my words, the tightness behind my smile, the ache I tuck away for the sake of functioning. You see all of it. And even when I try to hide from myself, I cannot hide from you. You meet me here, not with judgment, but with tenderness, not with impatience, but with understanding. You know how easily I can name my responsibilities, but struggle to name my feelings. You know how I minimize what hurts me, because I do not want to seem weak. But strength was never about suppression. You never asked me to bottle up what you created me to feel. You made me with a heart that responds to life, not just to logic. You made joy and sorrow, laughter and tears, the full range of emotion that colors the human experience. You are not threatened by what overwhelms me. You are not exhausted by my sadness or surprised by my anger. You are steady when I am not. You are safe when I feel unstable. Today, Father, I ask you to teach me how to feel again, not in chaos, but in clarity, not in fear, but in freedom. Let my emotions not be dictators or intruders, but messengers that lead me back to you. Help me recognize when sadness is calling for stillness, when anger is pointing toward boundaries I have neglected, when fear is inviting me to trust deeper, when longing is reminding me of what matters most. Let me feel without shame and reflect without rushing. Let me sit with what stirs in me instead of silencing it too soon. God, I give you my weary emotions, the ones I have carried too long without language, the ones that show up at inconvenient times, the ones I judge as too much. I do not want to numb anymore. I do not want to pretend I am okay when I am unraveling inside. You never ask me to perform wholeness. You invite me to bring my pieces. So here they are, raw, unfinished, trembling. I offer them not for pity, but for healing. Let joy return, not the superficial kind that depends on good news or easy days, but the kind that flows from knowing I am held. Let laughter rise again, even if it trembles through tears. Let peace not be the absence of emotion, but the presence of steadiness beneath it all. Anchor me in the truth that I do not have to fix my feelings. I just have to bring them to you. I do not have to rush to explain them. I just have to make room for your presence within them. When anxiety tightens my chest or disappointment weighs down my steps, remind me that emotions are not permanent states. They are waves that rise and fall. They are clouds that pass. They are signals, not sentences. And even when I am in the thick of them, confused, overwhelmed, undone, you are not shaken. You are the calm in my chaos, the soft landing when my heart is tired of running. You are my refuge, not just when storms rage outside, but when the storms are inside me. Help me recognize the emotional habits I have developed avoiding hard conversations. Deflecting praise, over-explaining myself, holding back tears. Let me gently untangle the patterns I built to survive and replace them with rhythms that allow me to thrive. Let me feel with intention, not impulsivity. Let me name what I feel before I project it, pray through it before I react from it. Let me slow down enough to ask, what is really going on inside me? And listen for your whisper in the answer. When grief revisits without warning, when old wounds get triggered by new moments, when loneliness settles in even when I am surrounded by people, let me remember that healing is not linear. Some days I will feel lighter. Others I will feel like I have taken steps back. But no feeling disqualifies me from being loved by you. No emotional low can separate me from the truth that you are still working in me, still forming something beautiful from my brokenness. Father, I ask you to expand my emotional capacity. Help me make space for the full spectrum of feeling without becoming overwhelmed by it. Let me hold joy and sorrow together. Let me celebrate while still grieving. Let me find gratitude even when I feel stretched thin. Let me experience awe even in the midst of H. Teach me that emotions are not enemies of faith, they are companions of it. They bring color to conviction. They awaken compassion. They deepen my humanity. And in my relationships, Lord, help me to love from a place of emotional wholeness, not emotional hunger. Help me not use others to soothe what I have not brought to you. Let me show up honestly but not harshly, vulnerable but not volatile. Let me own my feelings without offloading them on those around me. Let my words be filled with grace and truth, not sarcasm or silence. Let me be emotionally present, not distracted, not withdrawn, not reactive. Let love be more than sentiment. Let it be steady, strong, real. When I do not know what I am feeling, when I just feel heavy but can't find the words, help me trust that you understand anyway. Let my sighs be prayers. Let my tears be worship. Let my stillness be surrender. I do not have to articulate everything for you to move. I do not have to be emotionally articulate to be emotionally safe in your presence. Even when I have no words, you are already speaking peace over my soul. So today, I choose to show up with my whole heart, not just the strong parts, not just the polished pieces. I bring the conflicted parts, the weary corners, the places I have been avoiding, and I invite you not to erase my emotions, but to inhabit them, to help me walk through them with grace, to let them shape me without defining me, to let them point me to you instead of pulling me away. You are not afraid of what I feel. You are not disappointed by my depth. You delight in truth in the inward parts, and that includes my emotional life. So I surrender it all to you, not because I want to feel less, but because I want to feel fully and faithfully. I want my emotions to align with your heart, not just my history. I want them to serve my healing, not sabotage it. Let today be a beginning, not just a continuation. A day where I no longer apologize for feeling, but learn to feel with wisdom. A day where I notice what rises in me, not to control it, but to understand it. A day where I speak to my emotions with compassion, not condemnation. A day where I welcome you into every mood, every tension, every swell of feeling. Let me feel with freedom. Let me respond with grace. Let me live with emotional integrity. And in every deep place where my feelings echo loudest, may your truth speak louder still. Lord, as I bring my emotions into alignment with your grace, I find myself standing on the edge of something deeper than need to see as you see. Because even when my heart begins to soften, even when I feel with clarity, there is still the matter of how I perceive. Perspective shapes my experience. It alters how I interpret events, people, pain, and possibility. And so today, I offer you my sight, not just my physical eyes, but the lens of my mind, the framing of my thoughts, the meaning I assign to what I go through. God, I confess that I often interpret through the filters of past disappointments. I rehearse old failures and let them predict future outcomes. I read rejection into silence, failure into delay, threat into challenge. My perspective gets clouded when I forget who you are. It gets narrow when I forget who I am in you. I react instead of reflect. I assume instead of ask. I brace instead of believe. But you are not bound by my interpretations. You are not defined by my projections. And so I ask you to reshape my inner vision, to renew the way I see before I even act. Father, teach me to lift my eyes from the temporary. There are moments I fixate on what is directly in front of me, the deadline, the disagreement, the discomfort, and I lose sight of the greater story you are writing. Remind me that not everything urgent is important. Help me zoom out, slow down, and take in the full landscape. Show me the context behind the pain, the growth within the waiting, the grace hidden in the mundane. You are always doing more than I can perceive. So grant me a wide lens and a still spirit to notice it. When I feel stuck in limitation, whisper possibilities into my soul. When I see only obstacles, remind me of the opportunities they hold. When I focus on scarcity, show me where abundance quietly flows. Let my first response not be panic but perspective. Let me pause long enough to ask, what else could this mean? Let me see beyond inconvenience into invitation. Let me recognize that the unanswered prayers may be answered in ways I cannot yet comprehend. Lord, change the way I see people. Too often, I judge by surface. I draw conclusions based on wounds, posture, or opinion. I assume motives. I label. I react. But you see the heart, the story behind the silence, the ache behind the anger, the longing behind the pride. Give me eyes that look with compassion, not comparison. Let me see others not as interruptions, but as reflections of your image. Let me notice the ones I have overlooked. Let me soften toward the ones I have hardened against. Let me replace cynicism with curiosity. Help me to view myself rightly, not through the lens of shame or arrogance, but through the clarity of your truth. When I downplay my value, lift my head. When I inflate my pride, ground me in grace. Let me not be defined by my worst moments or my highest achievements, but by the quiet, unshakable reality that I am yours. Let my identity shape my choices, not my insecurities. Let me walk in dignity, even when others do not affirm it. Perspective also changes how I endure hardship when pain comes, and it will help me to see it not only as a burden, but also as a space where you draw near. You waste nothing, even in sorrow. You are sculpting something sacred, even in loss. You are forming something lasting. I do not have to love the H to learn from it. I do not have to understand the reason to receive the refining. So help me, Lord, to look not just at what I have lost, but at what I am gaining through its strength, wisdom, resilience, dependence on you. When the road seems long and the destination unclear, teach me to shift from asking how long to what now. Let me trade impatience for intentionality. Let me see the season I am in not as a waiting room, but as a classroom. If you are allowing this moment, then there must be something in it for me to see. A lesson, a healing, a redirection. Let me not rush past what you are revealing. Let me not miss the wonder, because I am too focused on getting out of the wilderness. God, grant me an eternal perspective, This world is loud with urgency, full of noise that tempts me to chase what one last. But you invite me into a vision that stretches beyond the moment. You remind me that my life is not about impressing people, accumulating things, or securing control. It is about love, faithfulness, presence, and surrender. Let eternity inform how I spend today. Let heaven shape how I speak, how I serve, how I sacrifice. And in moments when darkness clouds my view, when grief narrows my vision and hope feels distant, let me hold on to the truth that you are not gone, just hidden in the fog. Give me the courage to walk by faith when sight fails me, to keep showing up, even when nothing makes sense, to believe that the valley is not the whole story, that there is light ahead, and beauty waiting to be seen when the fog lifts. Until then, help me to lean on what I know, not what I feel. Your goodness, your nearness, your unchanging truth. Let me also guard my perspective from the influence of fear. Fear shrinks my vision. It makes the future feel like a threat, not a promise. It exaggerates risks and minimizes grace. But you did not give me a spirit of fear. So help me see with eyes of courage. Let me walk toward the unknown not with dread, but with trust. Let me view change not as a danger, but as a doorway. Let me believe that no matter what I face, I do not face it alone. Father, thank you for being the God who sees perfectly, yet still chooses to draw close to my limited view. You do not wait for me to have it all figured out. You step into my confusion with clarity. You sit with me in the middle of my questions, and you gently lift my chin so I can see again, see you. See hope. See beauty I missed when I was looking too low. Today, I ask you to be the lens through which I look at life. Let your truth color my interpretation. Let your peace soften my conclusions. Let your spirit filter my reactions. Let me be slow to judge, quick to seek understanding, eager to reframe pain through your redemptive power. Give me holy eyes, not naive, but deeply rooted in love, not blind to brokenness, but awake to redemption. May today not be wasted on assumptions. May I walk through it wide-eyed with wonder. May I see glimpses of grace in ordinary moments. May I interpret interruptions as divine appointments. May I speak words that offer clarity and carry light. May I be a mirror, not of my mood, but of your mercy. Because when my perspective shifts, everything changes. Not because the circumstances are different, but because I see them through you. And seeing through you means seeing with hope, seeing with purpose, seeing with love that does not flinch, with courage that does not retreat, with clarity that cuts through the fog and finds joy again. Father, you who search my heart and understand my every longing before I give it voice, I come before you this morning, not only to surrender my thoughts and my vision, but now to lay bare my desires for what I want, what I crave, what I pursue with my time and attention. These are the rivers that shape the direction of my life. Desires can be holy or hollow, pure or polluted. They can carry me toward you or away from your best, so teach me, Father, to want rightly. Shape the landscape of my longings until they reflect your heart. Lord, I admit that I often want what is easy, immediate, and self-centered. I chase comfort over growth, applause over depth, certainty over surrender. My flesh pulls me toward things that sparkle, but do not satisfy. I long to be seen, admired, successful, safe. And though none of these things are evil in themselves, they become dangerous when they sit on the throne of my soul. When they replace you as my highest pursuit, I lose my way. So today, I ask you to reorder my desires, not just restrain them, but transform them from within. God, create in me a desire for the eternal over the temporary. Let me not hunger for what fades with time, but for what leaves a mark on eternity. Let me crave love over popularity, integrity over image, purpose over applause. Let me wake up wanting to serve, not be served. Let me want to give, not just receive. Let my heart beat faster, not at the idea of success, but at the call to faithfulness. Let me dream about becoming more like Christ, not just achieving more in this world. Sometimes, Lord, I do not even know what I want. My desires feel tangled, part faith, part fear, part fantasy. I feel the pull towards something more, but can't quite name it. I ask for things that seem good, but deep down I wonder if I am missing what is best. I want to love well, but get tangled in self-protection. I want to obey, but also be in control. I want to follow, but resist being led. So I bring you the full complexity of my desires and ask for clarity. Show me what is rooted in your spirit and what is just the echo of my insecurities. Father, awaken in me a desire for your presence, not just for your gifts, not just for answered prayers or divine intervention, but for you, for communion with the one who made me, saved me, and walks beside me. Let my heart ache when I drift from you. Let me hunger for your word like bread for my soul. Let me long for moments of quiet, just to be near you. Let your nearness be what defines satisfaction for me. Let my greatest desire be to know you more deeply, not just understand you intellectually, but experience you personally in the fabric of my everyday life. When I become numb to beauty, shake me awake. When I chase what drains me, slow me down. When I crave what harms me, redirect me gently but firmly. Dante, let me settle for lesser loves. Dante, let me forget what I was made for. Let me long to live in a way that brings joy to your heart. Let me want what draws me toward the light. Let me desire the kind of peace that does not depend on my circumstances, but flows from your spirit alive within me. Lord, refine my desire for relationship. Teach me to want connection more than control, vulnerability more than performance, depth more than distraction. Help me not to chase relationships that validate my ego, but those that nurture my soul. Let me be drawn to people who stretch my faith, who call out the best in me, who challenge my comfort zones with love, and make me into that kind of person for others, a safe place, a voice of truth, a bearer of grace. God, even in my ambition, reshape what I aim for. Let my dreams be guided by conviction, not competition. Let me not be driven by comparison or fueled by fear of being left behind. Instead, let me pursue goals that make room for others to rise with me. Let my success include generosity, Let my influence point to you. Let my work become worship. Let the longing to make a difference always begin with a longing to be faithful, even in the unseen. In moments when I desire escape, reveal what I am trying to avoid. When I yearn for distraction, show me what I am afraid to face. When I reach for comfort in places that leave me empty, call me back to the well that never runs dry. Let me stop asking the world to satisfy a hunger only you can fill. Let me stop numbing what you want to heal. Let me want wholeness, even if it costs me comfort. Let me want truth, even when it disrupts my illusions. You know the secret desires I barely speak aloud, the longings buried under fear or shame. You know the dreams I carry quietly, afraid of disappointment. You know the hopes I have silenced, because life has taught me not to expect too much. But you are the God who invites bold asking, who honors authentic longing, who does not mock desire, but shapes it into something sacred. So I give you even those hidden places. Come and breathe on them. Purify what needs refining. Nurture what aligns with your will. Uproot what steals life. And give me the courage to want again, even when hope feels fragile. Let me desire growth more than comfort. Let me want healing more than hiding. Let me choose forgiveness over resentment, courage over cynicism, tenderness over defense. Let me want to be made new, not just on the outside, but deep within. Let me desire a heart that is soft, humble, generous, awake. Let me long for a life that reflects heaven, not just survives earth. Father, when my desires feel unmet, help me to wait without bitterness. Teach me the sacredness of holy delay. Remind me that just because I do not have something now does not mean it is not being prepared or that I am being punished. Let me trust that your not yet is still love. Let me believe that when you say no, it is because you see a wider story than I can comprehend. Let waiting stretch my trust, not strangle it. Let it build faith, not fear. Above all, let me desire what draws me closer to you. Let me wake with a hunger not just for something new, but for something true. Let my deepest longing be for the kind of life that can stand before you without shame. Let me want your will more than my wishes. Let me delight in surrender, not as loss, but as liberty. Let me chase the joy that flows from alignment with your spirit. Let me hunger not just for the answers, but for the intimacy of walking with you through the questions. Because when my desires are renewed by you, I begin to walk lighter. I begin to speak differently, serve differently, dream differently. I no longer need to grasp or prove or strive. I simply trust. I simply follow. And in that place, I find rest not because I have everything I thought I wanted, but because I now want what truly satisfies. I want what brings life. I want what brings you glory. I want you. Father, as you gently reshape my desires into what reflects your heart, I realize that wanting the right things is only the beginning. True transformation unfolds when I choose to act on those renewed desires, when I move from longing to obedience, from conviction to commitment. And so I come to you now, not only with the prayer to want what is good, but with the courage to live it out, especially when it costs me something. Because wanting you is beautiful, But walking with you, especially through narrow paths, requires a bravery I cannot manufacture on my own. God, I confess that obedience is often where I hesitate. I hear your whisper, feel your nudge, sense your prompting, but I freeze. I delay. I question. I wait for a more convenient time or more favorable feelings. I ask for confirmation after confirmation when deep down, I already know what you have asked of me. Obedience exposes how deeply I trust you or do not. It reveals whether I believe your ways are good, even when they are hard. Whether I believe you are near even when the road ahead feels lonely. Lord, I do not want to be someone who talks about faith, but resists following where faith leads. I do not want to know what is right and still live as if I did not. I want to respond to your voice the moment I hear it, not because I am perfect, but because I am surrendered. I want to obey even when the outcome is unclear, even when the reward is not instant, even when others do not understand. Let my first instinct be yes, not a hesitant maybe, not a negotiated partial yes. A quiet, confident yes that rises from trust. Give me courage. Father, to obey you in the small things, the daily choices that shape my character more than I realize. The tone I use when speaking. The way I manage my time when no one is watching. The integrity I maintain when shortcuts appear. The compassion I offer when it is inconvenient. Let obedience not be some dramatic moment of heroism, but 1,000 quiet yeses that align my soul with heaven's rhythm. And give me courage to obey you in the costly things, to the choices that challenge my pride. My comfort, my attachments. When you ask me to forgive someone who hurt me deeply, help me obey not because they deserve it, but because you ask it. When you call me to let go of something once felt essential, help me trust that what you are offering is better. When you place me in situations that stretch me, keep me from shrinking back. Let obedience become a doorway to a deeper freedom, not a burden I carry in fear. There will be times, God, when obedience makes me look foolish to the world, times when what you ask goes against common sense, against the advice of others, even against my own instincts. But let me choose obedience over approval. Let me choose faithfulness over comfort. Let me choose you over being understood. Let my obedience speak louder than my opinions. Let it be a living testimony that your voice is still worth following, even when it leads me to unfamiliar places. Teach me, Lord, that obedience is not about control, but about love. You are not a distant ruler demanding compliance. You are a father inviting intimacy. Every act of obedience draws me closer to your heart. Every surrender reveals your tenderness. You do not ask for obedience to prove my worth, but to protect my soul and align me with a purpose bigger than myself. You know the future I cannot see. You know the path that leads to peace. So when you say go, I want to move. When you say stay, I want to be still. When you say trust, I want to let go of my grip. Sometimes, obedience means waiting without resentment. Sometimes it means staying faithful when nothing changes. Sometimes it means showing up again and again when I feel unseen. Give me the kind of strength that keeps saying yes even when I am tired, even when progress feels invisible, even when my heart aches for clarity. Let me obey without demanding understanding. Let me love without conditions. Let me give without calculating return. Let me walk without knowing how long the road will be. Lord, help me obey even when I feel afraid. Fear is one of the loudest voices that tries to silence obedience. It tells me I am not ready, not equipped, not worthy. It says I will fail or be rejected or misunderstood. But you, Lord, have not given me a spirit of fear. You have given me power, love, and a sound mind. Let me remember that every step of obedience is not walked alone. You go before me, beside me, and within me. My courage is not in my confidence, but in your constant presence. When I fail, when I hesitate, when I say no and regret it, meet me with grace. Remind me that your mercy is new each morning, and that every day is another chance to say yes. Let failure never turn into shame. Let it turn into deeper surrender. Let it teach me how much I need you. Let it soften me instead of harden me. Let it remind me that obedience is not about performance, but about relationship. I want to be someone you can trust with your nudges, someone who listens quickly and moves steadily, someone whose life bears the fruit of quiet obedience, not for attention, not for applause, but because I love you more than I love my comfort. I want to be someone whose faith is real in the moments that require risk, someone who lays down convenience to carry out compassion, someone who chooses conviction even when compromise seems easier. Father, I know that obedience is not just about what I do. It is about how I do it. Let me obey with joy, not just duty. Let me obey with peace, not just pressure. Let me obey with a heart that trusts your timing, your reasons, and your love. Let obedience be worship. Let it be surrender in motion. Let it be the rhythm of my day, not reserved for big moments, but woven into the small decisions that build a life that honors you. And let my obedience inspire others, not by preaching, but by living. Let it spark courage in those who watch from a distance. Let it stir hope in those who feel paralyzed. Let it be a quiet ripple that spreads through my family, my community, my world, not because I am strong, but because you are good, because your spirit within me is greater than my fear, because your love is better than anything I would hold on to in disobedience. So today, as I rise and walk into the unknowns ahead, let my heart stay soft to your voice. Let my feet be quick to follow. Let my hands be open to give. Let my mind be willing to change. Let my schedule make room for divine interruptions. Let my life echo one truth again and again, that trusting you is always worth it, and that obedience, even when unseen, is never wasted. Lord, as I quiet my soul in your presence, I sense the residue of yesterdays as striving still clinging to my heart, the pressure to meet every expectation, to solve every problem, to carry burdens that were never mine. To hold it builds slowly, subtly, until it feels normal. But it is not your way. You never called me to prove my worth through performance, nor did you design me to be crushed beneath the weight of what others demand. So as I draw near this morning, I release it all again. The noise, the urgency, the inner restlessness that steals my stillness. I long to live from a place of peace. Not pressure. God, in a world obsessed with hustle and deadlines, with endless comparison and constantly shifting standards. Your invitation is simple and steady. Come to me and rest, not because the world has paused, but because my soul cannot afford to live disconnected from your rhythm. You call me to work, yes, but not without rest. To strive, yes, but not without grace. To care deeply, but never at the expense of my own soul as anchoring. Let me live aware of this invitation, not just on slow days, but in the middle of the chaos too. Father, pressure often disguises itself as responsibility. I feel it when I believe I have to hold everything together, when I think my failure will unravel what you have built, when I carry outcomes in my hands that belong only to yours. I forget that obedience is mine, but results are yours. I forget that faithfulness is my role, but fruitfulness is something you produce. I try to control what was never meant to be mine, and in doing so, I trade peace for anxiety. You never ask me to fix the world, only to follow you in it. Teach me, Lord, to slow down internally even when life demands movement. Let me respond to people without feeling responsible for their reactions. Let me offer help without assuming I must carry the entire load. Let me love without losing myself. Let me serve from overflow, not depletion. Let peace become the default posture of my heart, something that steadies me regardless of what surrounds me. I recognize now that pressure often flows from fear. Fear of disappointing others, fear of falling behind, fear of not being enough. But you did not give me a spirit of fear. You gave me a spirit of love, power, and self-discipline. That means I do not have to run every race others set before me. I do not have to explain every decision, nor chase every opportunity. I only need to walk the path you have marked for me quietly, consistently, courageously. That path may be slower, it may be less glamorous, but it will be filled with peace, and peace is priceless. God, let me measure my day not by how much I achieve, by how much I abide. Let productivity flow out of presence, not pressure. Let fruit be the natural result of being rooted in you. I want to carry peace into my schedule, into my conversations, into my tasks. I want people to feel your calm through my presence, not because I am avoiding challenges, but because I am not carrying them alone. You walk with me, and that truth alone dissolves anxiety. I often think peace will come once the chaos ends, but you offer peace in the middle of it, not after the storm, but inside it, not once everything makes sense, but even when nothing does. You are the Prince of Peace, and where you are, peace is not just possible, it is promised. Let me make room for that promise today. Let me protect it fiercely, not allowing external demands to rob the stillness you have cultivated within me. Father, help me set boundaries that protect my peace. Let me say no without guilt when my soul needs margin. Let me rest without apologizing. Let me honor the quiet moments you provide instead of rushing past them. Let me turn off noise, both digital and internal, to hear the whisper of your spirit. Teach me that slowing down is not laziness. It is obedience. It is listening. It is surrendering control long enough to remember that you are God and I am not. Sometimes the pressure comes from within, my own expectations, my perfectionism, my impatience. I hold myself to standards you never set. I chase identities you never assigned. But I do not want to live performing anymore. I want to live from a place of rest, where I know who I am in you, and that is enough. Help me to stop striving for approval I already have. Help me to stop explaining myself when you have already affirmed me. Let peace be the anchor that holds me steady, not the applause of others. Let me begin today with unhurried focus. Let me enter each moment with presence, not preoccupation. Let me speak slower. Breathe deeper. Listen longer. React less. Worry less. Choose better. Let me not confuse business with purpose. Let me not mistake urgency for importance. Let peace shape my priorities. Let it reorder what I say yes to and what I release. Let it remind me that pleasing you does not mean exhausting myself for everyone else, even in conflict. Lord, let me be a peacemaker, not just a peacekeeper. Help me speak truth with gentleness, to confront with love, to stand firm without aggression. Let my peace not be passive, but powerful, not weak, but steady. Let it be a force that calms storms, restores relationships, and models heaven's rhythm in a world spinning too fast. Let my peace testify that I walk with you, that I am rooted in something eternal, in my family. Let peace be the undercurrent in my workplace. Let peace be my atmosphere in my thoughts. Let peace be my compass in decisions. Let peace be the confirmation when confusion clouds my way. Let peace be the voice that gently says, "Stay here with me." Let me not run ahead of grace or lag behind conviction. Let me stay in sync with you. There may be moments today where pressure rises again, when I feel the urge to prove, to push, to grasp control. Remind me then to pause, to breathe, to return, to remember that I am not a machine. I am your child. You delight in me not for what I produce, but simply because I belong to you. Let that be enough. Let that truth become the ground where peace grows. God, I thank you for being patient with me, for calling me back every time I forget, for meeting me in my stress with softness, for offering rest without condition, for not rushing me. Even when I rush myself, you are not a demanding taskmaster. You are a gentle shepherd. You restore my soul, not by piling more on me, but by lifting the pressure I was never meant to carry. So I begin this day not with a checklist, but with a posture, a heart tuned to your frequency, a mind anchored in truth, a body surrendered to grace. Let pressure have no voice here. Let peace rule the atmosphere within me. Let my actions be guided not by panic, but by your presence. And as I walk through this day, no matter what it holds, remind me again and again that peace is not found in what I finish, but in whom I follow. Father, as I lean into the stillness of this morning, the residue of yesterday's noise tries to echo in the corners of my mind. Even though I ended the day resting in your peace, I wake up again needing to realign, to reset, to return. I see how easily my thoughts wander, pulled in a dozen directions before my feet even hit the floor. But I do not want to drift through this day mentally scattered or emotionally divided. I want to begin it centered in you. Let this be the moment where my mind bows first not to fear, not pressure, but to your word, your truth, your voice. God, it is in my thoughts that the battle is fiercest. No one else sees the war that rages behind my calm face. No one hears the quiet accusations or the relentless what-ifs. But you see it all. You know every anxious thread that weaves itself through my consciousness. You know how much energy it takes to silence the lies, to sort through the confusion, to hold fast to what is real. That is why I come to you now, not just for comfort, but for clarity. I need your truth to sharpen my focus, to renew my thinking, to guard my inner world from everything that distorts who you are and who I am in you. Lord, your word is more than information. It is formation. It is not just meant to be read, but to rewire, to reshape, to rebuild the pathways of my thinking. So as I meditate on it this morning, let it do a deeper work. Let it not remain on the surface of my intellect, but let it soak into the soil of my mind. Let every verse be like a seed that displaces lies and takes root in truth. Let it grow slowly but steadily, shifting the atmosphere within me until peace becomes my natural thought pattern. When the old thoughts try to return, the ones soaked in fear, shame, or doubt remind me they have no authority here. They may knock, but I do not have to answer. I have a new framework now, built on what you say, not what I feel. And though it takes practice, though I may still stumble, I will keep returning to this truth. I have the mind of Christ. That means I am not helpless in my thoughts. I can choose to think higher, to speak differently, to resist the downward spiral. Father, let me be vigilant about what I consume, the words I read, the voices I listen to, the images that flash across my screen. All of it plants something. All of it forms something. I want to be intentional about what I let shape me. I do not want to let culture disciple me more than your word does. I do not want to absorb fear disguised as news or hopelessness disguised as entertainment. Help me filter everything through your truth so that I do not become numb to what poisons me slowly. Let me be disciplined in memorizing your word, not out of obligation, but because it anchors me. Let me carry verses like weapons against the fog that tries to settle in my mind. Let Scripture be the soundtrack of my day, replaying itself in quiet moments, rising up in times of doubt, whispering strength when I feel fragile. Let it shape my reactions, soften my judgments, slow my anger, and increase my wisdom. Let it become the language my heart speaks fluently. Lord, when the inner critic becomes loud, reminding me of my flaws, questioning my value, help me to answer it not with defensiveness, but with your promises. Let me remember that my identity is not based on performance, but position. I am your beloved. That does not change based on what I achieve or fail to achieve today. Let that truth settle deeper than the insecurities that rise. Let it drown out the noise with steady assurance. when my thoughts spiral into the future, painting worst-case scenarios. Bring me back to the present. Remind me that I do not need to borrow tomorrow's worries. You are already there, and you are also here, offering grace for this moment, not the imagined ones ahead. Help me walk in the rhythm of just enough light for the step I am on, just enough strength for today's tasks, just enough clarity to move forward without being overwhelmed. Let me not become a prisoner of overthinking, rehearsing what I can change, replaying what went wrong, revisiting conversations that already ended. Instead, help me to redirect that mental energy into something life-giving. Let me meditate on what is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, on anything that is excellent or praiseworthy. Let those things be the playlist of my mind. Let them shape the tone of my day and the texture of my thoughts. God, I surrender my mental patterns to you. I ask you to help me unlearn the habits of anxious thinking, catastrophic imagining, and constant self-doubt. Teach me to think with faith. Teach me to see interruptions as invitations. Let me view people with compassion, not suspicion. Let my thoughts lean toward grace, not judgment. Let my inner dialogue sound more like your voice than the voices of my past. Even when mental fatigue settles in, when my brain feels foggy and the day feels heavy, remind me that rest is not failure. You do not measure me by output. You care about the condition of my heart. So even if I accomplish little today, if I stayed connected to you, if I guarded my peace, if I renewed my mind even once, that was a victory. Let me not overlook small wins. Let me celebrate every moment I turn toward truth. Father, thank you for giving me access to a sound mind. Thank you that I am not ruled by my emotions or circumstances. Thank you that I have been given the Spirit of truth, who guides me into all understanding. Thank you that your word is alive, powerful, and personal. It meets me where I am and leads me where I need to go. Let it continue its quiet work in me throughout this day, gently replacing confusion with clarity and heaviness with light. I may not be able to control everything that comes my way today, but I can choose what I dwell on. I can choose to take every thought captive. I can choose to let your truth be the final authority over my reactions, decisions, and desires. And when I forget, when I wander back into worry or old narratives, let it be your kindness that leads me back, not shame, not fear, just the steady hand of a loving Father who never tires of renewing his child's mind again and again. Lord, I come to you again in this quiet moment, aware of how easily my thoughts drift. Take so little an unfinished task, a difficult conversation, a passing comment for my mind to spiral down paths that leave me anxious or drained. And yet, as the previous stillness lingered in my soul, you reminded me I am not helpless. I do not have to follow every thought that knocks on the door of my mind. I can choose what I allow to dwell there, what I feed, what I revisit. And that choosing, Lord, is a holy practice. It is how I stay aligned with you. I realize now that peace does not arrive uninvited. It is not the accidental result of a calm life. It is something I must pursue, protect, and prioritize. Even when the world is noisy or chaotic, you invite me to fix my thoughts on what is true, what is worthy, what brings life. And that invitation is not about denial. It is about discernment. It is not about pretending hardships do not exist, but about refusing to give them authority over my internal world. You have shown me that I can sit in the middle of a storm and still carry calm inside if I have chosen what to dwell on. God. I want my mind to become a resting place for truth, not for fear, not for bitterness, not for resentment. I want to give space only to thoughts that align with your character and your promises. And when other thoughts come, and they will, I do not want to host them. I want to gently escort them out with the light of your word. Help me recognize when my thoughts are taking me down roads you never called me to walk. Help me to pause, to recenter, and to return. Sometimes it is subtle, a minor complaint that grows into a grumble, a quiet comparison that becomes self-contempt, a brief disappointment that swells into despair. The shift happens so fast I often do not see it until I am already heavy. That is why I need you to guard me, not just from what is loud, but from what is small and deceptive. Help me catch the early whispers before they grow into shouts. Help me trace my feelings back to their roots so I can uproot what does not belong with intention. Lord, the truth is, I have spent so much of my life giving space to unhealthy thoughts because they felt familiar. Worry felt responsible. Overanalyzing felt wise. Guilt felt humble. But you are teaching me that not everything that feels familiar is healthy, and not everything that feels right is true. Teach me to question those default patterns. Teach me to test my thoughts against your heart. Just because a thought is loud does not mean it is worth listening to. Just because it has been there a long time does not mean it deserves to stay. Today, I ask for grace to make better mental agreements. I have agreed with lies about my worth, my future, and even about you. I have entertained fears and called them foresight. I have justified bitterness and called it discernment, but no more. I want my inner world to reflect your kingdom. I want my thoughts to mirror your thoughts. So help me break every agreement I have made with hopelessness. Help me to renounce every narrative that contradicts your goodness. When I look at others, help me choose compassion over criticism. When I think about myself, help me choose grace over shame. When I reflect on the past, help me choose gratitude over regret. When I imagine the future, help me choose trust over control. And in all these choices, help me lean into you not as a distant authority, but as a close companion who understands the weight of being human, who speaks kindly, who leads gently. Lord, help me to train my mind without becoming rigid. Help me to correct my thoughts without becoming harsh. Let this not be a performance of perfection, but a journey of surrender. I am not trying to force positivity. I am asking you to form new pathways, to heal the places where my thoughts have been shaped by pain instead of love. I want to walk in mental freedom, not because I have mastered control, but because I have yielded to transformation. There are days when my thoughts feel like a battlefield, when I feel like I am losing ground, like every step forward is followed by 2 steps back. On those days, remind me that the fight itself is proof of growth. If I am noticing the pattern, if I am bringing it to you, if I am choosing again even after failure, that is victory. Let me not despise small beginnings or slow progress. You are patient with me, and I want to be patient with myself too. Help me be intentional about what I fill my mind with. Let my morning begin not with headlines or pressures, but with your voice. Let me set the tone for my day by absorbing what is eternal before I engage with what is temporary. And as the day unfolds, help me return to you again and again, not just when I feel overwhelmed, but even in the quiet moments. Let awareness of you become the undercurrent of my day, the steady rhythm beneath everything else. Lord, when my mind starts rehearsing conversations that have not happened yet, or revisiting ones I wish had gone differently, help me notice, help me pause, help me bring it to you. Not everything that demands my attention deserves it. Let me not waste mental space on things I cannot change or outcomes I cannot control. Let me instead invest that space in creativity, in reflection, in prayer, in joy. Let my mind be a garden, not a courtroom. And God, when I forget, because I will, when I fall back into old habits, when I dwell too long on what hurts or what scares me, let your grace interrupt the cycle. Let your Spirit gently redirect me, not with shame, but with invitation. I do not need to condemn myself to grow. I just need to return to you, again and again and again. Thank you for never tiring of this process. Thank you for caring about the thoughts I carry, not because they change who I am in your eyes, because they affect how I live, how I love, how I show up in the world. Thank you that you care not only about my heart, but about my mind. That you are the God who restores the whole person, who renews not just what is seen, but what is hidden, quiet, and unseen. Today, I surrender my thought life to you not once, but continually, as often as it takes, as many times as I get distracted, as many times as I fall into the same patterns. I surrender again, knowing you receive me, knowing you delight in the return. Let every thought be a seed that either honors you or is pulled up by its roots. Let this be the day I choose again what to dwell on, not perfectly, but intentionally, persistently, and in partnership with you. And when the evening comes and my thoughts begin to rewind the day, let gratitude be what lingers. Let peace be what settles. Let your presence be what remains. Father, as I breathe into this new morning, I sense how the gentle practice of surrendering my thoughts has begun to change not just my mind, but the way I experience the world. Yesterday's choice to dwell on what is true did not end when the day closed. It carried into my sleep, into my rest, into this moment. And now, as light begins to touch the horizon again, I do not come to you empty or weary. I come with quiet strength rising from within, not because life has become easier, because you have shown me how to live differently from the inside out. This renewed mindset is not something I earned. It is something you are forming in me bit by bit, day by day, like clay softened by water and reshaped by gentle hands. It is not made of effort alone, but of trust, of letting go, of believing that your truth is more reliable than my assumptions, more solid than my feelings, more worthy than my old ways of thinking. I used to think change was something I had to force, but now I know it begins in surrender. It begins in returning to you, again and again, until what once felt unfamiliar becomes the new home for my thoughts. Lord, this shift is not just about choosing better thoughts, but about embracing a new identity. I am no longer a prisoner to my patterns. I am no longer defined by what used to hold me down. You are inviting me to live as one who is already free, even while the transformation is still in process. You call me holy, not because I have perfected anything, but because you have placed your spirit in me. You call me beloved, not because I have earned it, but because it is who I am to you. And this truth, Father, it reorients everything. You have taught me that a renewed mind does not simply avoid negativity. It actively participates in building a life-giving reality. It speaks life. It extends grace. It searches for wonder. It chooses to celebrate even when reasons feel few. It seeks beauty in places others overlook. It becomes a source of calm in a frantic world. This is not delusion, it is devotion. It is a deep allegiance to you, to hope, to light, to what is unseen but eternal. God, I want this mindset to become my reflex. I want truth to be my first instinct. I want love to be my default. I want peace to be my response, not because I am trying to perform, but because your nature has become mine. I want to think in a way that reflects the reality of your kingdom, not the shadows of fear or doubt. I want my imagination to be sanctified, not saturated with worry. Let what I dream of align with your heart. Let what I anticipate be full of hope, not dread. There are still moments when I forget, when old thought loops echo louder than your whisper, when I fall back into assumptions, when I brace for disappointment, when I let suspicion replace trust. But you are not asking for perfection. You are inviting me to live with awareness, to notice, to pause, to choose again. And in that choosing, you are remaking me slowly, quietly, faithfully. I see now how a renewed mind is not just for my benefit. It changes how I show up in every space. When I lead from a place of peace, others feel safer. When I speak from truth, I break cycles of confusion. When I offer compassion instead of critique, I soften hard places. This inner renewal becomes an outer invitation for others to experience what you have done in me. My transformation becomes a testimony, not of my willpower, but of your mercy. Father, I ask for boldness to live this way, not just in prayer, but in traffic, in conversations, in deadlines, in delays. Let this not be a quiet practice I keep hidden, but a loud revolution that spills into how I parent, how I work, how I love. Let the way I think become the way I live. Let integrity begin in my mind before it ever reaches my actions. Let joy start in my perspective before it becomes a song on my lips. Teach me to steward this mindset with care, to be intentional about what I consume, what I read, what I watch, what I allow to shape me. Let me be wise in what I let into my mental space, not from a place of fear, but from reverence. My mind is not a landfill. It is a sanctuary, a place where your spirit dwells, a place where truth is planted, watered, and grown, a place where the lies of the enemy are silenced before they take root. And Lord, when the noise of the world feels overwhelming, when the opinions of others grow loud, when the culture demands conformity, let me remember that I live by a higher call. I am not here to think like everyone else. I am here to reflect you, to carry an atmosphere of heaven into earth, to embody peace when others panic, to offer perspective when others spiral, to remember that renewal is not a one-time event, but a lifelong unfolding of grace. Let this mindset grow humble and strong, not arrogant, not superior, not self-righteous. Let it be rooted in empathy, rich in patience, tender with those who think differently. Let me never forget that I was once where they are, that I too am still becoming, that I too need grace every single day. Let me carry conviction with kindness. Let me speak truth with gentleness. Let me hold firm without holding others hostage to my pace of growth. Father, thank you for not only loving me as I am, but also loving me too much to leave me there. Thank you for revealing that transformation is not something I do to gain your approval, but something that flows from already being loved. You are not waiting for me at the finish line. You are walking with me through every step, and with each step, you are opening my eyes, clearing the fog, showing me what it means to truly see. Even now, as I breathe deeply and feel the stillness of this moment, I realize how sacred it is to think differently, how countercultural it is to pause, to listen, to renew. In a world that celebrates distraction, you are inviting me to be deeply rooted, to think with eternity in mind, to process not through panic but through presence, to live not from survival but from surrender. Let the renewal of my mind become a source of strength when I feel weak, a compass when I feel lost, a reminder when I feel unsure. Let it be the lens through which I see my relationships, my work, my calling, my pain. Let it shape how I forgive, how I hope, how I pray. Let it guide me when the way ahead feels uncertain. Let it ground me when my emotions feel overwhelming. Today, I commit again to this way of thinking, not because it is easy, but because it is holy, because it leads to life, because it draws me closer to you. I will not be conformed to the patterns of this world. I will not let fear have the final word. I will not let shame shape my decisions. I will choose to be renewed, to think in alignment with who you are, with who you say I am, with what is lasting and true. As the morning unfolds and the world awakens around me, let the clarity in my mind become an offering. Let my focus be worship. Let my perspective be praise. Let my peace be a testimony. And as I walk into the unknown of this day, let me carry this quiet boldness, this renewed mindset, not as armor to protect me, but as light to guide me. Let it shine from the inside out. Let it be evident in all I do. Let it draw others not to me, but to you. Dear Heavenly Father, I sit in this quiet hour, not at the beginning of a journey, but at a moment of still reflection. These mornings with you have become more than a routine. They have become breath, a rhythm that carries me from darkness into light, from confusion into clarity. You have led me gently through layer after layer of thought, emotion, fear, and hope. And now, I arrive not at an ending, but at a threshold, a doorway into something deeper, something more enduring, something that does not just visit in prayer, but remains in the fiber of how I live. Your spirit, whispering through each moment, is not far away but close, alive within me. Lord, through every chapter of these mornings, you have pulled back the curtains on the inner workings of my heart. You have shown me where I cling too tightly and where I hesitate to trust. You have invited me to look again, not through eyes clouded by old wounds or anxious stories, but through a new lens, shaped by grace and truth. What once felt like burden now feels like invitation. What once overwhelmed now calls me to rise. The shift did not come in a thunderclap or blaze of glory. It came slowly, in each whispered choice to return to you, to breathe with you, to think again with your heart in mine. This life, this world, is still as unpredictable as ever. People will still disappoint, and plans will still unravel. But something in me is different now, because you are not asking me to escape the world. You are teaching me how to walk through it with wisdom, with quiet courage, with a mind anchored in truth. The peace you have cultivated in me does not depend on what surrounds me. It grows from within, watered by presence, nurtured by trust, lit by the flame of your love that never flickers, never fades. I no longer need to wait for everything to be perfect to feel secure. You are the stability beneath the chaos. I no longer chase control as my savior. You are the shepherd who knows every step before I take it. I no longer define myself by how much I can carry. You are the one who carries me. And when I falter, when the winds of doubt try to return, I will remember these mornings. I will remember the sacred stillness, the open sky, the sound of my own heart learning how to beat in time with yours. God, you have not just taught me how to think differently. You have taught me how to be differently. You have shown me that transformation is not a formula, not a performance, but a relationship, one breath at a time, one yes at a time. You have shown me how to listen beneath the noise, how to pause before reacting, how to lead with love even when I feel empty. The fruit of this journey is not perfection, it is awareness. It is peace that holds me even in motion. It is confidence rooted not in my strength, but in your presence. I used to believe that being led by the Spirit was only for the big moments, the decisions that change the course of a life. But now I see that it begins in the smallest ones. In how I greet the morning, in how I respond to disappointment, in how I treat the stranger, in how I sit with silence, in how I speak when no one's watching, in how I forgive when I have every reason not to. This is where the sacred lives, in the small, repeated choices to love you with my whole mind, heart, and strength. As this chapter closes, I sense that nothing has truly ended. I have only stepped into a clear awareness of was always available. The Spirit has not arrived. He has been here all along, waiting for me to slow down enough to notice, to open the door, to allow the conversation to continue beyond these morning prayers and into the ordinary. The sacred does not stay on a page or behind closed eyes. It walks with me into my job, my relationships, my setbacks, my laughter, my rest. It speaks through sunsets and dishes, through long walks and unexpected delays. Father, thank you for teaching me that a renewed mind is not just a spiritual ideal. It is the way of freedom. It is the path of resilience. It is how I step out of old cycles and into new beginnings, again and again. It is how I stop rehearsing my failures and start rehearsing your faithfulness. It is how I stop bracing for impact and start expecting goodness. It is how I stop spiraling into shame and start walking in grace. You have rewired me from within, not with pressure, but with patience, not with fear, but with love. I want to live every day like this, with awareness, with intention, with a softness in my soul that stays open to correction and comfort. I want to notice when I drift and return quickly. I want to make space for silence in a world that shouts. I want to bring curiosity instead of judgment, wonder instead of worry, stillness instead of striving. I want to create moments where others feel your peace simply because I have made room for it in myself. This life of faith, I now see, is not about striving harder, but resting deeper. Not about always having answers, but about holding questions with humility. Not about escaping pain, but about being present in it with hope. Not about impressing others, but about loving them. Not about fixing everything, but about trusting that you are already working in ways I can always see. And in this trust, I walk lighter, I breathe easier, I love more freely. To every soul who has walked this journey with me, to those who have whispered these words in the early morning, or in the stillness of night, or in the chaos between, thank you. Thank you for allowing this sacred rhythm to shape something deeper in you. Your presence has made this more than a monologue. It has become a communion. We have gathered not in a building, but in the sacred space of seeking. We have built something unseen, and yet undeniably real, a shared space where faith has room to grow, to stretch, to breathe. If this journey has touched something inside you, if it has helped your mind slow down, your heart open, your spirit return, do not let it end here. Let it continue in how you greet your day, in how you listen to those you love, in how you speak to yourself when no one's watching. Let it live in your laughter, your rest, your questions, your tears. Let it shape the way you walk through every ordinary moment with sacred intention. Please share your reflections, your prayers, your moments of renewal in the comments. Your voice matters. Your journey matters. What you are learning could be the exact encouragement someone else needs today. Don't be afraid to speak hope. And if this journey has been meaningful to you, consider subscribing to this channel so we can continue walking together. Share this video with someone who may need a breath of stillness, a moment of grounding, a whisper of peace. Let us keep building a space where hearts are lifted, where minds are renewed, where faith becomes more than belief, it becomes breath. As I end this morning's prayer, I do not walk away. I walk forward into the world, into my day, into the unknown with a heart anchored and a mind awakened. The journey of renewal continues. not in dramatic gestures, but in quiet faithfulness, the kind that looks like presence, the kind that sounds like still waters, the kind that feels like morning light stretching slowly across the floor.